Welcome in to Check the Mic. Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson live on YouTube from the Antonio Cromartie studio in part with Huggies. And it's all brought to you by our friends over at Fanduel. It's time for our Week 7 NFL preview, Sam.
It is. Week 7 already.
If you missed it yesterday, if you're one of those, you show up on a Monday morning, you show up on a Thursday morning. I know we have those people, Monday, Thursday people.
Sure.
Review, preview people. We love you. Just encouraging you to check out the Wednesday show. Big reunion with Austin Gale. We talked to trade candidates. Maybe my favorite Wednesday show of the season was yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's a good long discussion with Austin. Obviously, it's 6 a.m. for him, but that's not going to stop him being permanently caffeinated, just inherently. He doesn't need the caffeine. He takes it anyway, but he
wakes up with like 5 espresso shots just naturally.
Coursing through his bloodstream.
Yeah, exactly.
And then goes and adds more.
And then adds more to it. And it keeps the
somebody
energy
was
up all
saying
day.
somebody was saying, oh man, I'd love to see Austin on like 5 shots of espresso or whatever. If you want to see that, go back to whatever that was, the 2022 NFL draft, 21, whatever year that was. That's basically Austin popping a Red Bull every hour.
Day 3 was something special.
Yeah.
Day 3, he was hosting the entire show.
And just wired himself out of his mind on Red Bull. That's what that looks like.
So, yeah, we had fun with Austin yesterday. So, again, if you're not a typical Wednesday viewer or listener, I encourage you to go back to yesterday's show and become a Wednesday listener.
Before we go anywhere, subscriber update. We're up to 63,500. What target are we chasing down? Are we just chasing down the big 100? Is that what we're going for?
I think
I want the play button back. I think
a realistic 100 by the draft.
Yeah, that's what we're chasing. That's our target. Yes. I want our play button because our play button is currently sitting somewhere else, right? I want a new one.
We've earned a play button.
We've earned a play button.
Hijacked by a different YouTube channel.
By another company.
Another company.
They're sitting there in the background like it wasn't us.
So we want our own button. So yeah, we want to get to 100,000 by the draft.
Yeah. So click subscribe is all I'm saying.
And then other housekeeping items. Tonight, watch along. If you're listening on Friday, you missed it. But watch along tonight, and we're going to do it'll be open to everyone.
Yep.
First 20, 30 minutes, and then members only.
Yep.
As we talk and watch Bengals Steelers tonight here from the hometown in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I got to be careful because the people are dumb, Sam.
Sure.
You're learning more about that. You learn more about that when I ducked into some of the conversations that were going around about grading and bias and so much. Somebody said, I heard them say we had to do it for our hometown kid, Joe Burrow, a couple years ago, and I haven't listened ever since. Like, if I have cost us a listener because of my sarcasm that we're biased towards the hometown kid from Cincinnati, that's on you. But it's my own fault. It's my own fault for not realizing people are dumb and they can't understand.
With the greatest of respect, somebody that is unable to discern that particular line of sarcasm is unlikely to be a PFF customer.
You're probably not a good listener for Check the Mic.
You're just not. You're not.
Group here.
You're not an advanced information kind of consumer. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even a basic information type of consumer. You're unable to discern basic sarcasm. You're certainly not an advanced listener.
We did make that determination years ago. Like, look, we're not for everybody.
Right.
And Check the Mic, we're not for everybody.
Yeah.
We're not for everybody.
You're going to lose.
But we want to be for at least 100,000 people that are subscribed by the draft.
That's the thing. You're going to lose some customers and listeners, right? But they're probably not your people.
Yeah. If you can't handle my humor, if you can't catch on to my humor.
Well, maybe that's casting the net a little too shallow.
Yeah. How about a little, do we have to do a picks update?
Yeah, we do. I got it.
Just because you're good at it?
So, as anyone that listened to Monday knows, Survivor, we only lost a couple. We're down to 120 people. I'm pretty sure, though I deleted the note, that last week it was 124. So we only lost 4 people last week, of which I was one of them because I somehow accidentally entered a pick that wasn't the one I announced on the show. So finding out 5 minutes into the 1 p.m. slate that I picked Dallas cost me last week. We're down to 120 people, and I'm not one of them. The Pick'em League, though, is going better for me. Somebody called Sam C 2001 is top with 60 wins, which is suddenly 3 clear of the chasing pack. I had a solid week, so I'm up to 52, which is tied for 28th. You and Harry are now tied with 40 wins, which is tied for 394th out of 500. And I've never checked on a weekly basis how many of the 106 people below you are people that forgot to enter picks in 1 week or all weeks. So there's certainly some of them. It's not zero.
Yeah, whatever.
So that's the pick update.
I had a really good week 2 weeks ago. Then back to garbage.
Yeah.
Back to the garbage can.
Well, I found Harry's. I was scrolling myself to find these, and I found Harry's relatively quickly, and then it took me ages to find yours because I assumed you were higher than him. I hadn't considered the possibility that you had such a bad week that you were now tied with him again.
Yeah, we're both. Yeah, he had a decent week, I think. He came back. He made a late switch to Kansas City before Sunday Night Football.
Good call.
So if you listened on the show, he took Kansas City. Sorry. All right, so we're going to go. You ready?
Yeah.
We're going to go game by game, pick by pick here. And you were on me and his show previewing the week as well?
Yeah. So it was recorded yesterday. I don't believe it's out yet, but we're going to do – YouTube now does these collab things, which I think has been something that people wanted for a while, where you can do a show with another channel, and then you click a button and it posts on both channels. So at some point, my appearance on Mina's show, which is another preview, will go up on our channel as well. It will be a much shorter one than this, even though it's longer than Mina's standard cadence. Having one of us on Mina's show tends to slow it down, but it's still like a third of the length of ours.
Got that TV cadence, right? You only have so much time to convey your message. We're over here like, let's go back and go through the history of Baker Mayfield's career.
It's very, I know she wants a tighter show than that, so I'm trying to give her, little concise things and not drag it out and stuff. I'm trying to, fit into the Mina Kimes TV quick, rapid-fire cadence, and it still dragged 15 minutes longer than she normally does. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell her.
All right, it all starts Thursday Night Football. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals.
The old man bowl.
Couple 40-year-olds battling it out here.
The Twitter account, Shooter McGavin, the character from Happy Gilmore. It's not the same person, right? The guy that runs that account is not the actual actor that does Shooter McGavin.
I don't believe so.
Anyway, the Twitter account, Shooter McGavin, is just spending all week tweeting old man things and this is Aaron Rodgers versus Joe Flacco on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty funny.
It's good. We should go through and rank those tonight as part of the live stream.
We could
go
do that.
through them on the live stream. We will have a live stream for members only. Again, for members, just a little extra, a little bonus content, including tonight. We'll have a watch along as we are all watching on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
We also have multiple open invitations out to all of our friends,
all of which
colleagues,
will be ignored.
Yes, colleagues who are coming into town. Andrew Whitworth, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ross Tucker. Open invitations to all of them to stop by the studio, record a little something, say hello. No one's going to show up, I'm sure. We're like Josh Rosen at his college birthday party.
Except Justin Pugh later.
Justin Pugh will be here. Yeah. So 1 for 4 on former NFL players. Mm-hmm. What are we looking for in this one, Sam?
Well, the old man bowl. I guess I'm fascinated whether Joe Flacco had a pretty clean game last week, and did he understands the assignment, which is just put the ball in the air in the general direction of Jamar Chase, and good things will tend to happen. So that combination is an upgrade over what Jake Browning was producing for the Bengals. Can he do that twice, though? I mean, this was a guy who was, third in the NFL in interceptions heading into that game, despite, having been benched already. It's not exactly his MO to have perfectly clean games every single time. I don't think that pass late in the game, the kind of lofted thing down the sideline towards Valentine, ended up as a turnover-worthy play, but it could have been. I mean, it was borderline in that general direction. So this is the type of defense that can cause those problems, like the Steelers' pass rush, Cincinnati's offensive line. This is the nightmare matchup that you're looking at on paper and being like, Flacco's not a good fit for the current woes that Cincinnati is experiencing, and yet last week it was okay.
I mean, look, the Green Bay pass rush should have been fierce for Flacco, but he has adjusted his game to play like an old man. Like the same thing we're saying Aaron Rodgers is doing, the same thing Brady and Breeze did when they were in their 40s, getting rid of the ball very quickly. And that's the advantage you have when you've seen everything and know where to go with the ball. Rodgers is doing a great job of that, and I thought Flacco did a nice job of that. Now, look, he averaged almost less than 5 yards per attempt on 40-something attempts last week. That's not going to cut it. But as far as I don't know if we're going to see the 6-sack game where he's just constantly under heat. He's at least going to get the ball out and let those receivers make plays. And the Steelers' defense is starting to play like we had thought they could play, forcing turnovers, creating havoc. Nick Herbig has been unblockable off the edge. T.J. Watt on the other side. They have been outstanding. Derek Harmon on the interior. So they've got dudes up front that can win. So you have to get rid of the ball quickly. And it's going to be interesting because Pittsburgh was putting a lot of heat on Dylan Gabriel last week and then compressing the field. Like, all right, Brooke, get the ball down the field. Like they're just going to sit on these underneath routes. I don't think you could fully do that with Flacco. He'll throw the ball outside the numbers. So if you have one-on-one on the outside, he will give Higgins and Chase some opportunity. So if the Bengals are going to pull the upset, and it feels like a challenge here.
Sure.
Steelers, they've only got one loss. Bengals haven't won in weeks. But if they're going to pull the upset in Cincinnati, it's going to be some big plays on the perimeter and Flacco giving those guys opportunities to make plays.
Yeah, and it's the clean game as well. Like, honestly, that might be the more important part of that. I think the thing that Flacco's done over the last several years in this sort of twilight Indian summer part of his career is he's put up a lot of yardage. Like, he can put the ball in the air, give guys a chance. It often comes with a cost that he's also going to just randomly float the ball into nowhere and get picked off. That's the important part. I think that's the more important aspect of last week was the reason that ended up as a solid performance was not the production overall. It was the fact that he had a clean game. He didn't turn it over. He didn't put it in massive harm. There was one play that was floated and was iffy, but even that got away with. If he has that kind of game, well, now you've got a shot. If he has a game where even if they put up a lot of yards, Chase goes nuts, if he turns the ball over twice, it's still not going to work.
Other side, I think you're starting to see, last couple weeks, been very impressed, or last two games, very impressed with the Steelers' offense against two fierce pass rushes with the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns. Did you enjoy the discourse? Did you get involved in any of the annual discourse?
The Garrett versus Watt PFF great stuff? No, I just kind of kicked up my feet and watched it happen. It was fun.
It's so much better not having to jump in. I get
pulled
in. I get urged every now and then.
I was texting Trevor yesterday, and I was like, it's kind of fun just sitting on the sideline with these ones. What I was saying is, I think I finally modified my Twitter algorithm enough by blocking and muting enough people. I didn't even get tagged in it.
Yeah.
Normally we get dragged into those things just because we were at PFF for so long.
Right.
Anytime there's a thing, somebody's tagging you, going, look at this idiocy. I didn't even nobody brought it to my attention. I mean, it was there, but nobody specifically threw it in my face and was like, look at this. So I think I've blocked or muted enough people.
Just curious. So Rodgers and the Steelers have been getting rid of the ball lightning quick. One of the fastest times, the only guy throwing the ball quicker is Dylan Gabriel, who's, firing the ball 5 yards over the middle of the field every single time. So Rodgers getting rid of the ball quickly. I think that is mitigating their pass protection issues from earlier in the season, like the way they're attacking with DK Metcalf down the field. One little matchup to keep an eye on. My guy, DJ Turner for the Bengals defense. Cornerback playing really well, leading all defensive backs in pass breakups, forced incompletions, and in man coverage, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Opponents are just 3 for 11 for 39 yards, 34.3 passer rating. And so DJ Turner shadowed Jamison Williams against Detroit. So just keep an eye on him. It's not a great size matchup for him if he's going up against DK Metcalf.
Right.
But last year, too, before he got hurt, remember he had the 3-pass breakup game against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, including some big plays against Quentin Johnston. So he could play up. I'm interested in that because I think if you take away some of the DK plays and some of the vertical plays that they've started giving him, I think you might be able to limit the Steelers' offense a bit.
Yeah, what I think is kind of interesting about the Steelers' offense the last couple of weeks is you've gone up against two good defenses, but two polar opposites in terms of how they go about things. Flores and the Vikings are all about misdirection and subterfuge, smoke and mirrors. Meanwhile, the Browns are all about, we were one of the simpler defenses in the NFL in terms of what you see is what you get. We just rely on out-executing you, and we're really good at that. And so what you saw from the Steelers is the offense changed fairly dramatically week to week. They went against the Vikings. They had this hyper-fast average time to throw. It was 2.0 seconds, 2.04 or something like that. And the ball came out crazy shallow. It was all this group of almost proto-RPO plays, old school package plays where Rodgers went, we're kind of calling runs, but be aware, if I like the look, I'm just going to throw you the ball. And then against Cleveland, you saw a lot more, we know it's man coverage. Like, we like what we see. We're not confused. I don't need to get rid of the ball that fast as long as I dedicate 3 people to blocking Myles Garrett. And you saw him push the ball down the field a lot more. So his average depth of target was a lot longer. He held onto the ball a bit longer. It's not like it was slow or anything, but it was like 2.5 seconds, which is middle of the pack, normal. And they threw the ball down the field. Now, one of them was wildly underthrown, but you saw them. So you've sort of seen this offense be willing to adapt fairly radically depending on the defense that they're facing. And Rodgers play either like the most dink and dunk type of game imaginable versus actually he's going to take some shots.
The Rodgers underthrown deep ball was one of those in narrative world when you're looking at a 40-year-old quarterback. And
that's the first time where you look at him and go, normally the narrative has been, okay, he might not be able to move around very much, but at least he's still got the arm to get it everywhere. That was the first time where it's like, ooh, he didn't have the arm to get that there.
That's also one of those, I always have sympathy, like when you're playing, you're outdoors, you're in Pittsburgh, like you just never, like there's winds, like that's where I go back to the dome thing versus outdoors. It is, every now and again, it's difficult to get the ball down the field, throw the ball accurately.
And it was the sort of classic, flick of the wrist Rodgers throw. Now, he's always done that, right? Yeah. So he used to be able to get the flick of the wrist and get it 55 yards. Now, the flick of the wrist didn't get it there. But it isn't like he put everything into that throw. It's not like he launched himself Ryan Fitzpatrick style into that throw and still only got it 50 yards. This was at least, he didn't have his feet under him. It was flicking his wrist and it didn't get there. Okay, maybe now you do have to put everything into those throws.
So, yeah, my point on that one was that's the one where the shouty shows, the people who are looking for the 40-year-old cliff, like you saw some of those throws where the ball died from Drew Brees late in his career. You saw some of those passes, obviously, in the Peyton Manning year where he was banged up and the ball's fluttering all over the place. And it's like we've got this history of old man has no velocity anymore. But in that same game, Rodgers came back and he had that little scramble shovel pass thing. He had the little throwback in the red zone to Hayward for a touchdown. Like he has not lost it, I don't think, arm talent wise. Maybe outside of a couple throws here and there. So, I think it'll be a good game. I think Pittsburgh has a huge opportunity here to once again separate themselves in the AFC North. You kept citing the fact that they're slight favorites now to win at 4-1. The next closest team. It's a battle of the first top 2 teams in the AFC North tonight. By the way, Steelers at 4-1, Bengals at 2-4.
Last thing, the Bengals are making a change at linebacker. Barrett Carter is coming in to start, and Logan Wilson is being benched effectively. I'm curious to see because the Steelers run less 11 personnel than anybody else in the NFL effectively. They're going to run a bunch of 2 backs, 2 tight end sets. So you're going to see 3 linebackers on the field the whole time. It's like we might not notice anything other than one of these guys is playing more than they normally do.
The other one to keep an eye on, Darnell Washington being unlocked here in the Aaron Rodgers offense. The 260-pound. They were debating. JJ,
I need to know what he weighs.
They were debating what his weight was. They were even saying, look, they've had that conversation in Pittsburgh about him moving to offensive line somewhere down the road.
He looks bigger than Broderick Jones when he lines up next to him as the chip tight end. But then when they get him loose into the open field, I mean, he's effectively serving the same role as Mercedes Lewis used to. And yet he looks 30 pounds bigger than Mercedes Lewis. He looks huge.
He does. So anyway, should be a fun game. Another challenging one, I think, for the Bengals offensive line. And as much as I'm saying, hey, Flacco can get rid of the ball and everything, I think Pittsburgh might have too much up front. It's 5.5 is the spread, over under 43.5 per Fanduel. Where are you going to go with this one?
I'm picking the Steelers to both win and cover.
I will as well. Short week for both of the 40-year-olds. Harry's also going to take Pittsburgh because we're tied, and we'll both pick the same thing and stay tied after.
By the way, part of the Mina show involved picks, and there's zero chance that I remember what I said yesterday when I came.
That's good.
The game. So if you're looking, don't. All I'm saying is if you watch both these shows, do not expect those picks to match or cross-reference because I don't even remember what I said.
All right, we're going to go through some of the big games. Hopefully you just pick both sides. You'll be right, no matter what, depending on who heard you.
Well, because hers is just straight up, so there's a chance where I could be wrong both ways.
Sunday at 4, Indianapolis Colts at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers favored by 1.5 against the Colts, who are, if the playoffs started today.
If they did.
If they started today. on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. Colts are the number 1 seed. Colts have a bye. 5-1, best record in the AFC. 4-0 at home, but they're 1-1 on the road heading to the Chargers. I saw some old clips. I love some of those Twitter accounts, like old football highlights and everything. Since we are in the Antonio Cromartie studio, in part with Huggies.
Indeed.
The Antonio Cromartie Sunday night football game where he intercepted Peyton Manning 3 times, including the OBJ catch.
The one-hander, yeah.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
I think Peyton had 6 picks. You don't see a lot of 6-pick games from good quarterbacks in today's NFL.
Well, because normally once you get 3 or 4 deep, you're benching that guy. You don't bench Peyton Manning.
But back in the day, like a good quarterback could get, you might have a 4-interception game every now and then. You don't have that from good QBs, really, in today's
usually.
NFL.
But you also, it takes a special level of status in order to reach the 6th interception, Because most quarterbacks are saved from the 5th and the 6th by being benched.
Anyway, what are you looking for in this one? It's a 4:05. This feels like one that should be a 4:25 game again. Should be a 4:25. Shouldn't start during the witching hour. Should start at the end of it.
Latu could easily go off in this game. Dude's been on a tear. He looks fantastic so far this season. The Chargers' offensive line is beat up. It's depleted. A big X factor is whether or not we're getting Joe Alt back in this game. Did not practice on Wednesday. He might be back. Even if he is, he's usually going to be on the opposite side to where Latu lines up most of the time. So Latu should feast regardless. But Alt coming back will make a huge difference for the Chargers if and when that happens. If they don't get him back in this game, it's another game where, like, Indianapolis' front 4 going up against the Chargers' offensive line is a mismatch in their favor. The Colts' pass rush is interesting because they don't stunt a lot. They don't blitz a lot. They really do just line up with 4. And if they get pressure with 4, it's like a superpower, because that's the thing everyone wants to do. Get pressure with 4 without having to do anything else, and you win, because that's like the optimal way of getting pressure, but it's also the hardest. So if the Colts can do that in this game, that's like a turbocharge for the entire defense.
They also put Ashton Doolin out there to rush the passer.
They did.
The other
day.
Wide
receiver.
Ashton Doolin, part of the pass rush package the other day. Lou Anarumo, man, I think he's back. Not fully in his bag, but he's back.
I mean, you got to be pretty
with some players to move around and have some fun with.
You got to be pretty in your bag to be dialing up wide receiver rushes.
That's one of those. If you were playing Madden growing up, it's like, why don't I just put the fastest guy over on the edge and he'll just run by the tackle? And it's like, it's real football. That'll never work in real football. And then you've got real defensive coordinators doing it, like when the Dolphins put Tyreek Hill at tight end, and that was like a Madden cheat code, and they just did it. And it still worked. I'm interested on that side of the ball. Justin Herbert, who I thought was playing at an MVP caliber level, say 3 weeks into the season, for whatever that's worth when you're 3 weeks in. Got our trusty Sam Hoppen metrics here. Justin Herbert, 8th in PFF grade, but down to 21st in EPA per play. And a lot of the advanced stuff is, between 15 and 20 for Herbert right now. Success rate and non-play action success rate. Turnover-worthy play rate still really low. That has been a Herbert MO.
Yeah.
But I also have seen the big-time throw rate being down as well. And I think the ideal Herbert is the guy that is trying to get the ball to Quentin Johnston down the field, is getting the ball down the field more effectively. Those downfield attempts, or at least success down the field, has gone down as the offensive line injuries have gone up. And I think that's a big part of the challenge with this Chargers offense right now, is having enough time to create some downfield explosives.
And I think that reflection of the PFF grade is still good, everything else is down, is really just a case of that's the players he's losing, right? The offensive line, Quentin Johnston was out. Like, that's what you're seeing, is when you're basically watching an A/B analysis of what happens when you start systematically removing support casts from a quarterback. He's still playing at the same level. I mean, look at the play last week that ended up winning the game for them. But all of a sudden, you're just chipping away at the help that he's got.
Meanwhile, on the other side, you can see Daniel Jones has actually dropped in PFF grade down to 9th.
Yep.
I mean, it's early enough in the season that a few plays, honestly, can move you from 5th to 9th, so don't worry about that. But EPA per play, 4th, success rate, 2nd, everything else is pretty high. And I keep going back to when we were evaluating this offense, saying all the different weapons they have, the way that they use them, scheming Tyler Warren open. They're doing a really good job. And then they're fading A.D. Mitchell out of the offense, and I think it's just continuing to get really, really efficient. I think they're at the point where Jones doesn't have to play great for them to move the ball. And again, I thought he missed some stuff last week, but also made some really key plays, key scrambles, key tight window throws. I think they're finding this good balance right now where Daniel Jones continues to play well, and you also have the variety of playmakers that are really tough to cover. Plus, oh, by the way, Jonathan Taylor playing at a high level. Offensive line doing a nice job up front. Jonathan Taylor doing a nice job. So the Colts offense, really tough to defend just because they have answers, man. It's all about answers, and they have all of them right now.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good offense. I think this is a great matchup, actually, the Colts offense versus the Chargers defense, which itself is very good. I don't be surprised that Daniel Jones does not continue, Indiana Jones MVP campaign levels. That was always likely to be a little bit higher than what he was going to do as a baseline this season. But I don't think we're expecting him to go back into, turn into a pumpkin completely. I think he's going to settle into something like this type of level where he's dropped outside of the top 1 or 2 quarterbacks and more into the top 10 somewhere. And that's probably where he belongs, right? Daniel Jones is capable of being a pretty good quarterback as long as you support him with this type of supporting cast. And the supporting cast is great, so he's probably not going to drop much further than that. But I think that's what you're seeing is the level he was playing at for the first few weeks is likely unsustainable, and this is more like where he belongs.
Injury-wise, Colts have Josh Downs, their receiver, in concussion protocol, did not practice Wednesday, just something to keep an eye on. That would potentially hurt. And then you've got limited participation for a lot of good players for the Chargers here. Derwin James, just rest. /wrist. Quentin Johnston, Khalil Mack still banged up. I mean, they're a little banged up on both sides of the ball, but it's really that offensive line, and keep an eye on Joe Alt.
Yeah,
and if he can
actually
come
variable,
back here,
I think both literally and figuratively.
By the way, the one guy we forgot to mention in the first game was Trey Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big factor in the Bengals game. Just as a quick aside, anything else on Chargers and Colts? This could have, and I know the Colts are the number 1 seed right now, but could have serious playoff implications here if the Colts were not to win the AFC South. Well, of which they've got a path here. Obviously, they're a game up, but if they were not to win the AFC South, this might be one of those games you look back on that affects seeding and wild card implications.
Yeah. No, I think that's about it. Presumably Charvarius Ward will miss this game as well from his concussion from his own player in warm-ups. Costly warm-up. I mean, Richardson went to IR.
Full participation yesterday.
Oh,
according to this,
he could be back.
Yeah,
that's big. I mean, he's an important player for them.
Jeez, stop texting me, Kelly. All right. All right. It's Chargers by 1.5. You surprised by the line, given where the Chargers are, especially up front?
No, because they're still good even with that. I'm going to go with the Chargers to, win and cover, I guess, is what that is.
All right, I'm going to go Colts. Where are Harry? I get Harry. Harry had to text his picks to me. So let me see where he went with this one. He's got the Chargers.
And
am I the only Colts believer here?
Yeah, a connoisseur.
You were talking about your Twitter algorithm. Have you successfully avoided the Colts weekly song guy?
Yes.
Tell me you've seen that over the last couple of years, right?
I think people have occasionally sent it to me, but yeah, it doesn't show up on my algorithm particularly regularly.
It shows up in my For You feed.
Yeah, I don't use that.
Every now and again I dive in just to because you get some stuff. If it's about 50-50.
Nah.
Sometimes some good stuff shows up.
Not interested.
Every now and again you get the Colts super fan, who, by the way, does not love football more than me just because he sings songs about his favorite team. Doesn't love football more than me, Sam. So you and Harry are taking the Chargers. I'll take the Colts. So let's go. Monday Night Football doubleheader. Next 2 games. You ready?
Yep.
It's a 7 and a 10. Not the best way to do the doubleheader. All right, this is the worst week for sleep. This last 7-day stretch for me.
Dude, I forgot my citizenship interview is the day after the 10 p.m. Monday.
Is it like 8 a.m. Tuesday morning?
9, yeah. That's going to be fun.
Don't roll in looking like you're hungover just because you were up watching the game till 1:30.
I don't really have control over that. I look how I look.
Oh, jeez.
My problem is less my appearance. It's more what my brain is going to be like on that morning answering questions about your country.
And you blow it, and a week from today, there's just nobody sitting in the seat for the preview show.
There's several ways this can go wrong, including the fact that somebody ripped off my identity and ordered an iPhone on it, and some company thinks I owe them money.
Awful timing to be the victim of fraud.
It really is.
Anyway, Tampa Bay Bucks at the Detroit Lions. It's a 7 p.m. game. Another tough discussion with the wife. Hey, going back to work. It's 7 p.m. this week. Lions by 5.5 here. Big game here. Bucks beat the Lions in the Dome last year. The Lions are coming off their loss Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Bucks coming off of their most decisive win because it was the first win in which they didn't win in the last minute. So 5-1 Bucks here against the 4-2 Lions.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that you've got just decimated Bucks receiving core going up against decimated Lions secondary, which got further decimated with Brian Branch getting suspended for the game.
Right.
It's also so Tez Johnson had his kind of breakout game last week. I mean, he could be a really important player for them, albeit while they're missing a bunch of players. But the one guy left standing for Detroit is Amik Robertson, who's like a quiet, excellent slot corner. So the one guy that you would sort of focus on is, actually, this guy might be really important in this game. It's sort of strength on strength within weakness on weakness.
Yeah, I like the idea of more Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
Coming out of Oregon, they used him on more gimmicky type stuff out of the slot. He was jet sweeps and screens, and every now and again they'd get the ball to him down the field. He had that big, 47-yard touchdown last week and the backflip. Did you see the clip where he thought they were chanting MVP for him? That was pretty hilarious.
Yes.
He's just salt of the earth. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fun. But he was the second straight Oregon player who was undersized, did not work out well, but when you just watch them on the football field, you're like, man, this dude's tough to tackle, tough to cover. Bucky Irving last year, Tez Johnson this year, and Tampa Bay has both of those guys. So I think Tez could absolutely make an impact. And Mike Evans is practicing this week. So he's coming back from the hamstring. Again, anytime you hear hamstring, I have no idea what to expect. Sometimes a guy goes out there and he plays 10 snaps and then he starts hobbling off the field and he's gone for another couple weeks. Other times it's like, all right, whatever, it's done. But maybe timing-wise, Emeka Egbuka is hurt, for those who don't know. He's got his own hamstring that he's dealing with. So if Evans comes back and can be a part of the offense, obviously one out and one in helps a little bit. Evans got to get to that 1,000 yards. He's got to get back here. And when he gets back, he'll be fed, I'm sure.
He's got a task to get there this year now.
Yes, he does. They can't stop the game in the fourth quarter, keep running past it to him in Week 18. Maybe they can. He's going to go for like 300 in Week 18 after the Bucs clinch. Obviously, massive implications here. Just to go back to the beginning of the season, I was saying, beginning of the season, we all thought, hey, the Lions, the Eagles, those are the two best teams in the NFC. The Commanders might be up there. The Niners could be up there if they get healthy. But we also said, look, the Bucs have always been a tick below those teams the last couple of years. I know they beat the Lions and Eagles last year, but they've been a tick below. They've been a 10-7 type of team, right? But I said, look, this year with the continuity that Tampa Bay has, some of the losses in Detroit, losses in Philadelphia, Tampa Bay can become one of the best teams in the NFC. Like, this could be the year that they get to an NFC championship game, have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. It hasn't been the prettiest, or it's been without a right tackle, without a left tackle for 3 games, without all your receiving core. But Tampa Bay is getting the job done. We've got the Baker Mayfield MVP hype. They are establishing themselves as one of, if not the best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, and like you look at their schedule, it's like, okay, the numbers, the underlying metrics in a lot of Tampa Bay's performances this year have not been great, and you could make the argument that sort of makes them kind of a fraudulent team. Maybe they're not as good as their record because look at all these data points. But their schedule, like they're knocking over some pretty good teams, like Atlanta, Houston. All right, they may not be as good as people thought they would be. But then Seattle, San Francisco, like they are starting to stack up these wins against other teams that are looking very good whilst they're banged up and really depleted. And
I
maybe
thought those were the games that they didn't win the last couple of years. Again, I know they beat the Eagles. I know they beat the Lions. But a lot of times they went up against better teams. They lost those games, and they won the games that they were supposed to. Sorry to interrupt. Go.
Yeah, and maybe, and we do still expect them to get healthier over the course of the season and be a better team later on. The other variable here is Alim McNeil is coming back for Detroit, and he's one of their best defensive linemen. That should juice the pass rush, even from an interior point of view. If it's not necessarily on the edge, that's a big help, especially given, the weakest spot on that Bucs offensive line is still on the interior where Alim McNeil could be lining up.
Obviously, huge game for both teams. Lions and their offense, I think that's going to be a good matchup. Against the Jared Goff and the Lions against that Todd Bowles defense. Was it last year they played early in the year without? They were missing one of the running backs. They were getting Craig Reynolds involved, and the Lions' run game against this Bucs run defense, I think, is going to be a huge matchup. And Detroit just still looks like they're a tick better in the dome, and I think that's a factor. And remember, the dome game last year, it was one of those games where I think Baker had 2 or 3 turnover-worthy plays, and all of the fumbles and everything went Tampa Bay's way that day. And when the Lions fumbled, it went Tampa Bay's way. They happened to recover those. It's probably going to come down to turnovers in this game. I think it's going to be a good one, man.
Yeah, it should
7 p.m. Monday night. I keep asking. We should go. We should just drive up to Detroit. You definitely can't, though, if you've got the...
No, that's actually literally impossible.
Tuesday
well,
thing.
not literally. I would have to... Yeah, that's not good.
Would have been a good game. Would have been a fun game to go to. What else on this one? McNeil coming back is pretty huge. Detroit's pass rush, getting Al-Qadim Muhammad rushing the passer well opposite Aiden Hutchinson has been a huge development for the Lions this year. And so just getting another big body back on that defensive line, I think, is big for the Lions, especially when they're trying to protect their banged-up secondary.
Yep, agreed.
All right, man. Where are you going to go for this
I'm going with the Lions to, again, both win and cover.
I'll take Detroit. 5.5 is huge. So Vegas is the one hating on the Bucs this week, Sam.
Yeah, the man in Vegas.
It's the man in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
right? We just always blame him. Where's Harry going with this one? He's also taking Detroit. All 3 of us, huh?
Yep.
This is a great MVP spot for Baker.
Oh, signature game. Baker has himself an outing against the Lions, knocks them over, has another signature 3rd and 14 scramble first down, reaching over the first down marker. Give him the award now.
Every week it's like, what's the key to victory? Just tackle Baker Mayfield when you have the opportunity. Or you have 4 opportunities. Like that would be Detroit's key to victory in this one.
This is a vintage time for like slippery, unexplainably difficult to grab quarterbacks from scrambling terms. You've got Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Jackson Dart in terms of like how are these guys not able to be corralled in the pocket? Like none of them are Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, you can at least go, well, of course, he's 6'5", 240 pounds. Like, of course it's difficult to tackle him. Like, how are people not able to snag Baker Mayfield when he starts like pinballing around the pocket and escaping?
This is where I go off the rails here. But I saw Nate Tice talking about this the other day. He looked it up. More scramble yards in the NFL now than any season in recent history. I forget what the exact number was. So if you feel like you're watching the game and you're like, man, these QBs are running more than ever, from a scrambling perspective, and to reiterate, we separate scrambles from designed runs. We are seeing more scrambles than ever. If you look at the advanced metrics, I mean, it's a high EPA play because usually you're only scrambling when it makes sense. Right. So it's one of those. It's like it's a little bit of correlation causation. It's not like, hey, scramble 20 times a game and you'll be good. But it is an incredible for quarterbacks who can do it well. And the way Baker's doing it right now, the way Mahomes is doing it, it's an answer to when you don't have anything. Because it's usually, if you are breaking free from a sack, obviously you're turning a negative into a positive. But if nobody's open, and you're in, or just as an answer to man coverage, you have something. You have some way of adding a positive. I made that point about Jaden Daniels last year. Does he take a few sacks? Sure. But he doesn't throw a lot of incompletions. He doesn't just throw the ball away. He picks up 4, picks up 5, and keeps that offense on schedule. The scrambling quarterback is a huge story this season. And it really is one of those, like, if you're going to slow down Baker and the Bucs, you got to complete one of those plays. You got to finish those plays when you have the opportunities. Hutchinson missed on Mahomes last week, and it led to a big game. Like, you have to finish those plays. And if you're the Bucs, how do you mitigate not having Ibuka, not having Jalen McMillan this year, and having the revolving door of receivers? Well, Baker Mayfield's going to steal 3 or 4 first downs per week. That's why he's in the MVP race, because while all this stuff's falling apart, he's just doing it himself and taking it upon himself, and he's been so good at it this year.
Yep. No, I mean, those are like the part of it is quarterbacks these days are so good at just taking the scramble when it's there. Like, that's different to where it used to be a couple of decades ago, where scrambling was almost always because you were pressured and you just had to get out of there and make something happen. Now, if you give them a look, like if you don't rush with discipline, if you part the seas and you have a linebacker assigned somewhere else and there's just real estate,
take the yards.
Every quarterback in the NFL knows to just take the free yards, like take the gain, because like don't go looking for a pass that might be bigger, just take the profit. And they're so good at doing that. So that if you lapse for a second and give them space, they'll just pick up the free yardage. Then you have, this vintage world of freaks like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, and these guys that are super athletic and can make plays on top of that, plus a whole different world of the guys we talked about, the weirdly, unexplainably slippery quarterbacks, where even though physically it doesn't look like they should be amazing scramblers, they are. You add all that together and you have, record-setting scramble numbers.
All right, it's going to be an awesome Monday Night Football game, 7 p.m. Bucs-Lions. We're all taking the Lions here.
Yep.
-5.
Straight Bucs disrespect.
And really disrespectful today. Houston Texans at the Seattle Seahawks. This is the one. Just like timing of the coffee. I think it's second half of the first game, maybe. Late night coffee for me. I think that's how we're going to do it. It's a 10 p.m.
Can't believe it.
What?
10 p.m. It's just
10 p.m.
obnoxious.
Monday night. It's like the preseason action. The 10 p.m. starts. Houston favored by 3.5 here at Seattle. They're coming off their bye. Houston over/under is just 40.5 for this game. I want to read off the Sam Darnold numbers again because we did it last week just to show how well he's playing. Mm-hmm. I'll do that in a minute, but this is another fun matchup. Back end of the Monday night doubleheader. Yeah,
I mean, young Michael Renner tweeted out today that Darnold currently has the highest big-time throw rate at 7.7% and the lowest turnover-worthy play rate at 1.1%.
That's the holy grail. That's what you want.
Yes.
That's Brady Rodgers type of territory when they were in their prime. That's what you want.
And both those numbers are extreme in either direction. Like he's not just first, and the numbers are, at a relatively easy to attain level. I mean, 7.7 is huge, and 1.1% is half a percentage point lower than it typically is for the best mark in the NFL over the course of a season. So both those numbers are not only the best in the NFL, but they're at an extremely good level.
And then every other metric, again, I'll say it's not a high-volume passing attack, but it's incredibly efficient. Darnold pushing a 94 PFF grade, which at this time of the year is really high. Yeah. Usually, like the longer the season goes, the easier it is to get to the higher ranges or the lower ranges because the sample size increases. That's the way the season stuff works. Like he's dominating with a 93.7 PFF grade. He's number 1 in EPA per play. Top 3 in success rate, number 2 in the Seattle-driven CPOE number. So once again, Darnold playing at an extremely high level. I don't think we need a whole 10-minute history on Darnold again.
Good. And by the way, that turnover-worthy play thing, that was new. Like last year, even with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota.
It was a couple plays a game, right?
And the resurgent Sam Darnold, he still didn't have a great turnover-worthy play rate. I mean, he still put the ball in harm's way a reasonable amount. And a lot of his sort of most impressive stuff was, well, he's made a big mistake. How does he bounce back from it? And he did, right? He came back, still kept dealing, still kept making some big throws. And, and you can forgive that. Like he made a lot of positive plays to offset the occasional negative that we have. But the turnover-worthy play thing was still there. This year, he's almost completely eliminated it. Not only is he still playing really well, but also he stopped making mistakes with the ball.
So, yeah, I was surprised by the spread that's listed there. I believe it is Seattle favored.
Oh,
by -3.
That makes more sense.
By -3.5 here at home, which makes sense. I think it's two pretty evenly matched teams. Two teams that I think had coming into the season, I had similar takes on both teams that they could each have one of those top 5 caliber defenses. And both, for Seattle, it was like, hey, what's going to happen with Darnold? We're already seeing he's playing great.
Yeah.
And then from a Houston perspective, hey, can Stroud get back on track? I thought these were two really good teams here.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, though, that they're similar in ways, but the one big differentiator is Houston's offensive line. And I don't know if people are it's sort of, you forget about that a little bit because they had one good game against Baltimore, who I weirdly have become the asterisk in the NFL this year. Like, the Ravens defense got basically zero pressure against Houston's offensive line. And if they have a game like that, suddenly all is well, right? As soon as you take away all the pressure, then yeah, CJ Stroud can look good, Nico Collins can feast, the offense generally can function, the rookies can eat, and everything is good. But the Ravens have become the asterisk this year, and Seattle just got through absolutely annihilating a Jacksonville offensive line that's better in pass protection than Houston's. So this could be like an absolute bloodbath for that Houston offensive line. Like, I don't really see how they get out of this game without being completely destroyed by the Seattle defensive front.
Pass rush, once again, I think both sides. But yeah, Seattle's top 10 in pretty much every pass rush metric. They're doing a nice job up front. Houston's defensive front has been fierce, and they're getting after it, and I think they're gonna they're gonna give Darnold in the pass game some challenges, but the pass game does a really nice job of protecting the quarterback and using misdirection to free things up.
Both defenses are very good, but I think Seattle's offensive line is better equipped to survive than Houston's is.
And the scheme really is. Again, it is like a vintage Shanahan Kubiak scheme. It's Clint Kubiak calling plays. But is the vintage scheme where at the end of the game, you've got a 20 for 30 for 260 and a couple touchdowns. And when you go back, I saw Dan Orlovsky talking about some gimme throws, like give me some gimme throws for Cam Ward. When Baker Mayfield joined the Browns, or when they added Kevin Stefanski a couple years ago, I said they're going to give him, some easy buttons at the time. I don't know why that's the example that I brought up. But we talk like good schemes give you 10 to 15 screens, play action, boots, and then the other 10 to 15 dropbacks are like, all right, drop back and play football. But there's enough easy buttons in there, and I think Seattle's finding that good balance of play action, double move play action where they're getting JSN open down the field. That's going to be an awesome matchup. JSN going up against those Texans corners. Like, there's a lot. If we could all stay awake for this game on the East Coast Monday night, there's going to be a lot to look at and watch for in this one.
Yeah.
Just to go back to the Darnold thing really quick, not a history lesson, but we were wondering about him bouncing back from the two bad games. But if we take his season in totality last year, I mean, it was MVP caliber numbers, right? Like high-end numbers in what we thought was a very good situation in Minnesota, and he has been playing great football this year. Part of me thinks, well, that's all. It's always tough to sustain unless I've seen you do it before, right? If Lamar Jackson puts up those numbers, you're like, oh, I've seen him before. It's Lamar Jackson. When a guy hasn't done it before, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, you wonder, can they keep it up? But we're at the point, like, if he keeps this up, they're Super Bowl contenders, right? They're legitimate contenders in the NFC. If he comes back down to earth a little bit, I still think Seattle has enough. They're a well-rounded enough team that they're going to be very good. But we're talking about Darnold playing at this type of level that, Seattle should have high aspirations right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, those numbers that Renner put out, coupled with the grade and a bunch of basically every other metric, Darnold is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL right now. If that continues, coupled with the fact that their defense is nasty, then yeah, I mean, that's a recipe immediately for a Super Bowl contending team. One, you would be a little bit concerned if you're looking for any sign of weakness or issue. They're not running the ball particularly well, which in a way, like that's
the part that's not as Shanahan and Kubiak right now.
Yeah, which is ironic because it's also like all the other stuff is working even though they haven't established the run,
Yep.
So if you're looking, it's a great case study for anybody that's looking for evidence that, you don't actually necessarily need to establish the run for all the other stuff to work because all the other stuff's working and the run has not been established in Seattle. But, that's the one area where you would look and say, okay, this is one thing that's not going great for the Seahawks right now. But it doesn't necessarily matter if everything else is.
One last thing here. Two last things. I mentioned Nick Emanwari coming out of the game last week, the rookie safety for Seattle, coming off a career-high 70 snaps, was banged up earlier in the season. He is adding some energy and fly-around ability to that defense. Fly-around ability. Playing that little nickel, dime linebacker. He's in and around the line of scrimmage, making a ton of plays against the run in the pass game. That's his skill set as well. That's what he did best at South Carolina. So keep an eye on him when you're up at 1 a.m. on Monday night. And then I want to see Houston. Houston's coming off their bye, and I've been begging for more from the rookies. And I know Christian Kirk is fine, and it's not like they have a bad receiver core, and they're just not letting Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll make plays. But I do believe those guys can be the key to getting that pass game on track. Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, and having a Christian Kirk and having, Dalton Schultz. I think they have the opportunity to get those. I'm curious to see if they get those guys involved a little bit more coming out off the bye here.
Yeah, and the big thing, though, I think is just that whether that offensive line can survive at all. Because, honestly, this feels like the type of game where they get wrecked so hard, I don't know that anything else is even relevant. The game plan is out the window. I don't know if you can get the rookies involved or if you can feed the ball to Nico or whatever. You're just annihilated. You're getting buried by the pass rush.
All right, man. It is Seattle by 3.5 here. Over-under is just 40.5.
Yeah.
For the late game.
Which makes sense. I mean, we've been talking about both defenses are really, really good in both areas, pass rush and on the back end. Neither one of these teams, I think, can run the ball particularly well. The only thing that differentiates them is I think Seattle's offensive line is a little bit more capable than Houston's. But, I mean, this is setting up to be a defensive battle. I'm going with Seattle, though, because of that differentiator.
I'm going to go with Houston because I just think they're evenly matched teams, and I think it's going to be tough for Darnold to play at this high of a level. He's playing so well. The analyst in me thinks that's cool, it's impressive, it's fun, but it's going to be tough to maintain. I just think we're going to see a close game. Maybe Seattle with a close win. I'll take Houston to cover as underdogs, though. Harry's going to take Seattle, but he may be he'll take Seattle in this game. All right, let's go to Sunday morning. We're back in London now?
Yes.
Los Angeles Rams.
I don't think we've started. I think next week maybe is Germany.
There's Germany and Spain coming up over the next couple of weeks. Then we're done with Europe. Rams and the Jags, Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Again, sleep schedules, man. You got to be up early every day. Every day this week, including check the mic at 9 a.m.
6:30 start for the Rams.
6:30 start. The West Coast team going to – this happened a couple of weeks ago, right? Who was it? Somebody from the West Coast? No, it was Denver. I brought it up with the Mountain Time.
Mountain Time.
Yeah, look at them.
It's a little easier. It's a 7 a.m.
Look at their offense. They were sleepwalking. See? It's not easy for the West Coast teams. Rams favored by 3 here. A couple 4-2 teams. Should be a fun one.
Yeah. I do wonder if that – I mean, they're there for the week. They should adjust, but it's still pretty weird. It's a massive – I mean, that's 8 hours that they're shifting time zones for this.
Longer flight.
That's good. Well, yeah, not – that's – I mean, yeah, it is, but it's not, wild.
It's just one of those things. I'm always fascinated by players who are game time decisions, and then they go play. And it's like you were almost hurt enough to not play, and now you're going to go play in a game where a step means everything, right? And if you're only playing at 75%, that can be disastrous when you're trying to keep up with high-end athletes. Then when you get into jet lag and all these, these are high precision athletes. If you're just off a tick, it can have an effect. I'm not saying take the Jags, obviously, but that stuff adds up, I think.
Yeah, it does. I'm the most fascinating thing to me about the Puka Nacua thing is that's somewhere between an 8 and a 10 hour flight going back that way on where you don't have a ton of ability to move around and get yourself loose and all that kind of stuff unless you're Russell Wilson. If he isn't going to play, it feels like back-to-back transatlantic flights from the West Coast is a bad thing for his ankle recovery. Now, if he is going to play, it also feels like it's not helping, but it doesn't matter. He's playing. So it's sort of like if you even bring him on the plane, if he doesn't play, it feels like you just set him back for a period of time. Now, maybe you only set him back a period of time that doesn't actually change the following play or no play, but it's not helpful.
Yeah, I'm not expecting Puka to play, but yeah, we're sitting here on a Thursday, and we never really know exactly. But I'm expecting him not to play. It looks like Trayvon Walker should be back for the Jags. He had a minor wrist surgery a couple weeks ago that was only supposed to be a 1 to 2 week injury. He'll be back. Or he came back last week, but was limited in his snap count last week. I think the Jags they've got a pretty good defensive line with the different, Eric Armstead, when Walker's healthy, Josh Hines-Allen, the different types of bodies they could throw at you. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this game. Last week, Walker Little allowed 3 or 4 sacks, whatever that final number ended up being. He was in and around 4 sacks, we'll just say that.
I mean, the whole Jags offensive line, like this is the big thing in this game. The Jags offensive line got absolutely destroyed last week by Seattle. So that's relevant this week when you focus on Seattle's part of it. Can they do that again against a really bad offensive line? You would assume so. It's relevant in this game as well because actually the Jags offensive line from a pass blocking standpoint is usually pretty good and has been for a couple of years. Like it's not been a good offensive line, but it's been better pass blocking than it has been run blocking for the last few years. Now this year, Liam Cohen comes in. The run game is turbocharged, and actually the offensive line is suddenly blocking a lot better in the run game. And so they've just been a better offensive line overall. But last week they got destroyed. The Rams can bring that kind of heat to the table with their front four. They, stunt a decent amount. They've got dominant front four pass rushers. Like this is another tough assignment for this Jags offensive line. Can they do better than they did a week ago?
And to beat the pass rush, you need a quarterback getting rid of the ball quickly. So like everything we just mentioned about the old men at the top of the show. If they're going to mitigate the opposing pass rushes, they get rid of it quickly. And it's not just a quarterback thing, it's a receiver thing. And right now we have Brian Thomas Jr., he's the number one receiver. He usually runs more vertical type of routes. He's not necessarily going to be your either hot against the blitz or your, guy who's going to win. He's not catching 900 slants,
Right.
He's more of a vertical receiver. I do wonder if this is more Travis Hunter time. Liam Cohen implying that there'll be a few more first read type of plays, featuring Travis Hunter, I believe was the implication in what he said in his press conference, against a Rams pass rush where you just got sacked, 6 or 7 times last week against Seattle. I do wonder if this is more of the quick-hitting pass game, get the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands. And, oh, by the way, one of the things Lawrence has been good at historically is a lower sack rate or, low sack rate when he's under pressure. Him going down as often as he did last week, I wonder if that leads to big changes for this Jags offense where they're just trying to get the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, and they, I think, need to for this type of game. The quick stuff is also not generally a strength of Trevor Lawrence's. It's just not.
It's not.
It's not the style of quarterback that he is, and one of his biggest weaknesses throughout his entire career has been feeling a tick late on a lot of things. You're not going to be able to do that in this game. If you are, like last week, sacked a ton, and his average time to throw was huge, in part because he was under pressure a lot and trying to extend the play. But you want the result of that to be the opposite. Like, okay, we're getting buried here. Let's try and get the ball out lightning quick. And it didn't happen last week. It needs to happen in this game.
Lawrence goes back and forth between, I feel like he's rushed at times and then a tick slow at other times. When he's cooking, though, again, I keep going back to the back-to-back throws he made against Kansas City were out of this world, right? He puts it right on Brian Thomas Jr.'s hands on the comeback, on the go ball, but during the comeback against Kansas City. And then the next pass, he's ripping the deep out that with precision. When he can hit his back foot and just let it go, he is at his best. And I think that's always about the coaches and the scheme putting him in position to do that. So I think some in rhythm pass game for Jacksonville is going to be huge against the Rams here. And I do wonder if there's more Travis Hunter involved.
And I think there should be more of, more early looks for Travis Hunter because, we were starting to see the last couple of weeks what he can do with the ball in his hands. Rarely is the first guy able to tackle him. He makes those guys miss really easily. His suddenness, his quickness, all that still works at this level. Get him the ball quicker.
The Rams are another fascinating case. I think Stafford's throwing the ball extremely well this year. They're just leaving something on the table when it comes to red zone, finishing drives. Even if they don't have a Puka Nacua, this is why you have a Devontae Adams. They're great together as a 1-2 punch, but it's why, can Devontae Adams be a 15-target player in a game?
Well, that's interesting because I don't first question would be, do they just feed all of the targets? Does he go to being a 15, 20-target guy the way Puka Nacua has been just because he's the best receiver left and that's where you're going to go with the ball? He's not a like-for-like replacement. I do think
completely different stylistically.
People are down on Adams at the moment because his production isn't particularly high, and Puka Nacua has been getting all the targets. I don't think if you watch his tape, I don't think you're looking at a guy who's just cooked, and that's the reason he's not getting the ball. Even in, was it last week? If you look at the red zone, like he's the guy where Matthew Stafford is missing him, right? For some reason, all the misses Stafford has are all in the direction of Devontae Adams. I don't know that it's necessarily that they're not on the same page. It's miscommunication or lack of chemistry. I think he's just unfortunately been the result of all of Stafford's misses for a while. But I don't think you can just sort of plug him into Puka Nacua's role and say, just go do what he did. So I wonder if you're going to see, a more of a distribution of the targets where Adams will get a lot more looks, but suddenly a guy like Jordan Whittington,
I was going to say Whittington, yeah,
who's more stylistically like Puka Nacua, gets more of those looks. Or if they pivot towards the 2 tight end thing where they were supposed to, remember preseason, we're like, it's happening. McVay's finally going away from 11 personnel. We're going to see, tight ends involved, and that didn't really exist. But now, are we going to see more of the tight ends involved? Like how they react to not having Puka Nacua will be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I was going to mention Whittington as well, so I'm glad you did. I think he could be the guy that's getting some of those Puka targets for sure. It's going to be a fun matchup. I think there's some questions for the Rams in pass protection as well, similar to what Jacksonville just dealt with last week. I think both defensive lines can have some success. Should be a fun game at 9:30 a.m. Rams favored by 3 here, Sam. Where are you going to go with this one?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm favoring the teams with devastating pass rushes going up against not great offensive lines.
I think they both have that, though. Harry's going to take the Rams. I'm going with the Jags in the home game. I'm just kidding, it's not a home game. They get real sensitive and involved when you say that they're like the London.
Yeah.
They're not.
I mean, it's their own fault for sort of signing up for it.
They did, but they're not leaving Jacksonville. They're going to be there forever. But I'll take the Jags as underdogs here. All right, got to tell you about our friends over at Fanduel. And then we'll have a little... There it is. That's Fanduel. Getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/CTM to download the FanDuel app today and get started. FanDuel.com/CTM. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. For a $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. The gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Today, we're going with a prop bet. Thank you. My best work, I think, is on Thursday.
That was good. That might be the best terms and conditions run you've had for.
If we could just bottle that up and just drop it in the future, terms and conditions, that would be great. We're going to go with the London game here, over under on Kyren Williams, 68.5 rushing yards here, 68.5 for Kyren Williams. I believe Blake Corum is on the injury report as well.
Yeah, left that game last week.
So they're trying to eat Blake Corum, the clone of Kyren Williams. They're trying to ease him in every now and again. Might get a bigger workload from Kyren. Over under 68.5 here.
Yeah, and I think, again, without Puka Nacua, they're going to have to lean elsewhere for the production within that offense. I will go over.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that. Over for Kyren. 25 carries for him.
25 carries.
25 carry
Let's
game.
Go.
Depends on game flow, of course. That's all a big factor. I'll take the over as well. You guys can join in. FanDuel.com/CTM. Go check it out right now to get our deal. All right. What's next here? Philadelphia Eagles at the Minnesota Vikings. Eagles coming off their 2 straight losses, but still favored by 2.5 in Minnesota. Over under 43.5 per FanDuel. Eagles coming off their mini bye Thursday night game against the Giants. Vikings coming off of their bye after playing across the pond for back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. Interesting game. Philadelphia needs to sort of bounce back from what happened to them. Minnesota have to figure out who their quarterback is. And Kevin O'Connell's not loving that. I don't think he's loving a few parts of it. Number one, I don't think he's loving that he's in this situation. And number two, he's certainly not loving that people want to know what the answer is consistently. He got as testy as I've seen him at a press conference when he was asked again who his starting quarterback is likely to be this week.
He got asked on Wednesday, and he said, same as Monday, basically.
Yeah. Which is, I don't know, basically. From the sounds of it, I think I'm reading it as it's going to be Carson Wentz this week and for who knows how much longer. But that's the situation they're in. Like what we saw from J.J. McCarthy was bad enough that they are in no rush to put him back out on the field if they have a chance of doing otherwise. And Wentz is hurt as well, so it's not as easy as all that. But O'Connell's kind of been at pains to stress that it's his non-throwing shoulder that he's hurt, you know?
Wentz?
Yeah.
He gets hurt a lot.
Yes.
I've said a million times, QB injuries are more playing style than anything. I think there's probably something to Josh Allen. Is he built to take hits? Yes, but so was Cam Newton. And Cam Newton had a lot of nagging injuries through the years, and eventually that ended his career. Big Ben took a lot of hits. So on one hand, you could say, these guys are equipped to take a lot of hits, and then they've mostly endured, but they also were banged up quite a bit. And then you have someone like Wentz or Anthony Richardson who are similarly sized, and it's like if they take more than 3 big hits in a game, it's like one of them's going to get you. And so Wentz has always been like that, and he holds the ball. The Pittsburgh game where he got sacked a bunch. Like he has those games where he holds the ball a lot and takes a lot of hits.
It's really unfortunate because his sort of tool set is what should allow you to play like Josh Allen, and he just can't because he's not made of whatever adamantium that Josh Allen is made out of. Like Carson Wentz is made out of something far more brittle, and when he takes a hit, it tends to hurt him. And unfortunately, that's been the case for him throughout his entire career. You know, even in his best season, remember he gets a sort of freak injury trying to launch himself over the goal line, and suddenly that opens the door for the Nick Foles era. And Nick Foles is the guy who's the hero in Philadelphia. And Carson Wentz ends up starting to be bounced around the NFL and ends up now as this sort of career backup who's getting like one last chance to win a starting job. And even then, like 5 minutes into it, you get hurt. And it's really unfortunate because I don't think you can control. Obviously, you can control what the hits you take or not, right? But you can't control whether you've got a body that's going to survive like Josh Allen or whether you've got a body like Carson Wentz that's built out of Chad Pennington's knees. There's just no way. And so, unfortunately, Carson Wentz is constructed out of a substance that just does not allow him to play the way that his size should dictate he wants to play.
Obviously, big game for both sides. Do you think we never really talked about it from this angle, but Minnesota moving on from Sam Darnold this offseason, we didn't really bat an eye at that. There was a point where last year, very late, heading into Week 18, we said, hey, they have a decision to make. Darnold's playing this well. Like, pay him you just pay him $30 million and give up on your first-round draft pick? Not the worst idea in the world if you knew you were going to get good Sam Darnold.
We are going to have such a revisionist history on this whole, both sides of this, the Seattle decision and the Minnesota decision.
If Darnold keeps it up,
yes.
Right? I will pose this question, though. Is there a chance? You know how, like, the head coach tends to lean toward the sure thing.
Right.
The head coach tends to lean toward, in the veteran. Right? The head coach doesn't like to play the mystery box game. The head coach doesn't normally care about the salary cap as much. The GM does, right? The GM cares about, I can have J.J. McCarthy on the cheap, but also maybe 2 or 3 other players. Or I could have one Sam Darnold. Like, that's the debate that was happening. Do you think there was a question in Kevin O'Connell's mind where he's like, you know what? I know what I have in Sam Darnold. We just had a lot of success with him. I'd rather keep him. Do you think there may have been,
No, because I don't think anybody had that opinion. I don't think anybody thought, I know what I have in Sam Darnold after the way the season ended. I think if the season had ended 2 weeks before, everybody's decision was different. I think they would have kept Sam Darnold if the season had ended in Week 16, and that was the last we saw of Sam Darnold.
Had the playoffs started that day.
Or simply, if Darnold had gotten hurt in that game and he never had the last 2 performances, and the last thing they saw was still like all-pro caliber Sam Darnold, and that was the end of their season, I think everybody in that building would have been of the opinion we keep him and we re-up him to whatever contract we can get him for, and that's how we go forward. Coaches, GM, everybody. And then because the last 2 weeks happened, I think that changed their ultimate decision. And I suspect it, at the very minimum, I think everybody in that building was like, I don't know who he is anymore, right? Maybe there were people that were more definitely get rid of him than others, but I don't think anybody would have been banging the table being like, we 100% have to bring this guy back based off what we just saw. Because everything you just saw got completely undermined by the final 2 weeks of the season, and nobody had any freaking idea what they were looking at this point. Now it's easy to look back and go, well, you should have just written that off as two random games that could happen to anybody. And, of course you sign him to the contract. But at the time, you've got this first-round rookie who theoretically was supposed to start that year. Like, remember that. Darnold, it's not like Darnold was kind of signed as a bridge, but by the point McCarthy got hurt, people were expecting him to have won the starting job based off the preseason and training camp performance, right? So theoretically, you're going back to the guy that was supposed to have the starting job anyway. So you should have had some degree of confidence that he was going to be the guy, albeit on a really small sample size. I think to a degree, they've been very unlucky. Like they stumbled into a Sam Darnold thing. They thought they had a quarterback, and then 2 weeks completely undermined all of that confidence. They thought they had a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, and then 2 weeks undermined all of that confidence. And now you're sort of stuck in this weird limbo world where can you trust going back to McCarthy based off what you saw? Can you trust Carson Wentz to be anything? And oh, by the way, your offensive line has been banged up all throughout this season. You've only just gotten Jordan Addison back. Like, there's all kinds of confounding variables out there for them.
There are. And I think the tricky part for Minnesota is, I think J.J. McCarthy is the future there, but you're balancing that against you have a good team. Even with some offensive line injuries and issues, you have a good team this year. And you can decide Carson Wentz is the better option for the team for this year and say, we'll continue to develop JJ and hopefully he's ready for next year. Or maybe whenever he's fully healthy, he's the guy. But it was the first time, you're right, Kevin O'Connell was a little perturbed by the question.
He also just might not be the guy, JJ McCarthy, right? See, this is the thing.
Of course he might not, but we've seen 8 quarters of football from him. One was good.
Right. The missing information.
It's early. It's very early.
The missing piece of information here from the outside is we don't really know what they thought of McCarthy all the way along, right? We are dealing with extremely small pieces of information, whether it's from their point of view or ours, right? Our point of view, it's exceptionally small. We had he was a weird quarterback in college because he wasn't leaned on the way these other guys were within this Harbaugh offense. So already you're dealing with a kind of incomplete picture. Then you get like one preseason and training camp where he's good in training camp, has command of the offense, looked good in preseason, and then hurt his knee, and we never saw him again. And then you have another one of those where, again, theoretically it was good in training camp, preseason, and then a few quarters of football where he looked largely terrible in a bad situation because the offensive line's banged up, and that's it. That's all we know. Internally, we don't know if they loved J.J. McCarthy at draft time or if he was simply the quarterback that ended up being available to them, right? Maybe they liked Michael Penix more. Maybe they loved the top 3 guys way more than J.J. McCarthy, but they knew realistically there was never a shot of those guys. Like, we don't know what that is, right? We also don't know how much they really loved him in the training camp, in the preseason stuff, and how, what the priors were. Because if they really had confidence and loved the guy as a draft prospect and then loved what they saw from him throughout practice and stuff, well, then you've got a little bit of credit in the bank where you can say, okay, we still think he's the guy, and a few rough quarters isn't going to change that, and we want to persist with him. And the question just becomes, what's the best way of developing him, right? If they never really loved him to begin with, and he was just the guy that they got available, and then obviously publicly from that point you say, well, he was our guy all along, right? You're not going to say, look, I'm going to level with you guys. We wanted Michael Penix, and then Atlanta traded up ahead of him, so we just got this guy, and we're going to try and make it work, right? Clearly so you can't trust what they're saying out loud. But if that was the reality, and he was never really their guy, and he was just the one they had to try and make it work with, well, then it doesn't take that much for you to walk away from those priors and go, maybe we just don't have a guy.
And then it makes you think maybe we should just kept Sam Darnold. I'm just wondering if that's going through their head.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good history. It's good history there. You're right. We don't know what their thoughts are.
You also have to bear in mind the costs associated with that. Like, that's the other part that nobody's ever going to talk about is the Vikings effectively had a choice between, do we let Sam Darnold walk and overhaul the offensive line with all that free money, or do we keep Sam Darnold, who just got murdered behind a terrible offensive line, and not really have a huge amount of cash to fix it?
I'll say it again. I feel like I've seen more think pieces on how the Vikings got their guy and the Broncos always knew they had their guy when they chose QBs 5 and 6.
And maybe those are all accurate.
And maybe they are. But I feel like it's a little disingenuous because, I mean, if the Vikings had Drake May on the board, I don't think they're taking J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
If Drake May is on the board for the Broncos, I don't think they're taking Bo Nix just because he had a tennis ball in his backpack and is a football guy.
I mean, look, there are literal teams of paid professionals whose job is PR within each one of these franchises, right? So you have to, at the very minimum, be aware of the kind of manpower dedicated to creating the best spin possible on all of these situations. So when articles come out after the fact with, internal sources about this is what they felt, I mean, there's a pretty healthy chance somebody's working to make that look good.
Bottom line here, it's way too early to really know anything about J.J. McCarthy, and a good point in the chat. The Falcons are really good. That's the defense that made J.J. look awful in that Sunday night game earlier in the year.
When his offensive line was in bits. And
offensive line issues, and we just saw the Falcons give the Bills some problems in prime time. They are one of the more difficult defenses to face this year, which has not been the case in Atlanta previously. So, a lot of stuff on J.J. and Wentz, but a fascinating matchup with Flores every week. Flores defense against whoever he's going up against. It happens to be the Eagles this week. And the Eagles, it's a pivotal time of the season for Philadelphia. These next few weeks. Might not just be this week, but these next few weeks. Are you going the 2023 route? Are you going 24?
Right.
Which way are you going? Or is it somewhere in between? Are you just a pretty good team that maybe doesn't have Super Bowl in them this year?
Yeah.
I would say it is no time to panic, because who are the expected powerhouses in the NFL? The Eagles, the Ravens, the Lions, the Bills have all shown signs of weakness this year, maybe more than they have. But you don't trust just because the Colts are 5-1 or the Bucs are 5-1. You're not like, well, they're the new powerhouses. They have issues of their own. So it's open for the Chiefs are 3-3. They might be trending in the right direction, but it's still wide open for everybody, including the Eagles. They just have to figure things out offensively, have some better balance. In balance, I mean throwing deep, throwing intermediate, throwing short, and getting the run game going. Philadelphia needs all of those components to start working together.
Yeah, the panic for Philadelphia is not, losing ground relative to the NFC or not being in position. It's more, we've seen this go spiraling out of control before, and could that happen again? That's the fear if you're Philadelphia. I think this game is really interesting on that side of the ball the most. Philadelphia's offense against the Flores defense for a couple of reasons. You look at this and you're like, well, there's a huge advantage to Minnesota because Flores' defense is fantastic. It's a nightmare to deal with. I think the Philadelphia offense, though, is unusually well suited to actually play against it for a couple of reasons. Number one, the weakness of this Flores defense so far has been the run game. And in particular, so number one, they're not they're from a personnel standpoint, they're designed not to be great against the run. They've got a lot of pass rushing specialists, and they don't they specifically eschewed defensive tackle run stuffers in favor of these pass rushing guys. So that's one thing. It's a deliberate choice. But also they've been weirdly gap unsound for a defense that theoretically should just be attacking every gap anyway. And the Eagles have Saquon Barkley. And okay, they haven't got him going this year, but Saquon is almost uniquely qualified to, look, there's a gap of daylight because they haven't been in the right gap. Blip, one jump to his left and he's gone.
This
right?
could be the week.
Bijan is the other guy that's, there's a couple of guys that are capable of that. Now, the Falcons ran all over this Vikings defense. So I think this could be a week where Saquon does go off for a couple of those big runs that haven't been there this year. The other thing is, as much as this defensive scheme in the pass game is confusing as hell, difficult to diagnose, really confusing, The Eagles' offense is so kind of rudimentary that it's an awful lot of like A.J. Brown's on the outside, just throw it at him. Like, it's for all the smoke and mirrors in this Flores defense, every now and again you're just going to have A.J. Brown one-on-one with Jeffrey Okudah, right? And if you just decided this is the ISO route I'm going to throw pre-snap, there's a pretty healthy chance that works out well for you. So the Eagles' offense might actually have a surprising amount of success simply by saying, we like our athletes here. We're just going to throw the ball come what may. And as long as they haven't like sunk a linebacker under that pass, there's a pretty good chance it works.
9 straight weeks of Jeffrey Okudah catching strays from you on the
I mean,
outside.
look, Jeffrey Okudah didn't turn into a good football player just because he went to the Minnesota Vikings defense. He's not a particularly good football player. He's not playing particularly well. He's just in a defense that's hiding the fact that he's Jeffrey Okudah.
Isaiah Rodgers did, though.
Yeah, he's playing well. I mean, look, he's playing very well.
Hey, fun matchup. I think it's a big storyline one as well between the quarterback stuff we've discussed with Minnesota and this pivot point for Philadelphia. And again, another game where both pass rushes. I think Minnesota's their edge rushers against the Eagles' tackles, and then on the other side, the Eagles going up against the beat up Minnesota offensive line. It's a good matchup, both sides of the ball. Eagles by 2.5 here in Minnesota. Where are you going to go?
I'm going with the Eagles. I've talked myself into their offense will have success this week.
You just talked me into it as well. Where'd Harry's picks go? Sorry. I forgot my iPad where all of his picks are housed.
Yeah.
So I had to have him send some screenshots. He's taking Philly as well. All three of us will take Philly in this one. All right, we've got a lot of variables in this next one. New England Patriots at the Tennessee Titans. We've got the interim head coach bump against the Mike Vrabel revenge game.
Yeah.
The Patriots are favored by 7. They're 4-2. Freshly minted first-place team in the AFC East. They've spent 6 days in first place heading into this game. 41.5 is the over-under. And Brian Callahan fired from Tennessee. Mike McCoy takes over as the interim head coach. Tennessee has 1 win going up against the 4-2 Patriots, 7-point spread, but a lot of fun storylines in this one as well.
Yeah, there are. Do you see Vrabel's response to being asked about the kind of revenge game aspect of it?
Didn't he say he didn't care?
He said he asked whether it fell into the category of interesting or important, which I think is a cool line. They're like, this is a big thing, revenge
interesting.
Game. Yeah, and he's like, well, you got to ask yourself, is that something that falls into the category of interesting or important? Making the point that it's just an interesting thing rather than something that's actually of substance.
I would say on our preview show here, I would love to give everybody important stuff, like here's the key to the game or here's the thing that you're going to watch that's going to determine the game. As we've gotten older, I think the interesting stuff is worth mentioning, though. And I think we spend a lot more time discussing the interesting just because they're fun storylines, but I think it has little to do with the actual football game.
I really like Vrabel as a head coach. I think he's a really smart head coach, and the problems in Tennessee appeared to be, relationship issues. He butted heads with people. Now, we said before, like, if you look at the stuff he butted heads with people about, it seems like Vrabel was right more often.
Like, don't trade A.J. Brown.
Yeah. It seemed like Vrabel was right pretty much most of the time. And the people that he was butting heads against ended up getting fired, during the course of this whole rebuild as well. So maybe he didn't play well with others. Maybe he was abrasive in how he went about it. But you probably give him some credit for the fact that he seems to have been right on this, right? But he's also, so even if you say this is a flaw of Mike Vrabel, the sort of interpersonal skills stuff, he's this fascinating mix of the X's and O's are clearly there. He says a lot of smart things, but he also appears on busting to the boys saying he would chop his dick off for another Super Bowl championship. Like he's this fascinating mix of old school dinosaur, Ronnie Lott style. Just cut it off. I'll play. With the smart new school, look, it's not really an important thing. Focus on the details. And he's this really interesting melding of both worlds.
And part of the reason why he didn't want to go all in with this analytics department in Tennessee and this and that. But I think he also uses numbers-based insight. I know the guy who does game management for him, John Stryker, Stretch. I mean, he listens to him as far as game management, and Stretch is really sharp.
For all we know, the reason he didn't want to go all in with it in Tennessee is because the guy at the top of that totem pole in Tennessee was someone he didn't think was any good, and he didn't want to build that guy more power to throw more crap on his plate. Like maybe if he just had the guy that he wanted, he would have had a perfectly good analytic department.
Vrabel's also, I always joked, I think John Gruden may have gotten into coaching just so we could call plays and say those West Coast offense names over and over. I think Vrabel, like his favorite thing to do in coaching is to be in the middle breaking up fights during training camp. The number of times that he's just like in the middle of things and doesn't care about swinging helmets, and he's the best in that respect. The challenge for Vrabel and the Patriots right now, though, same thing I said last week, is being front runners. They're not the plucky underdog anymore now that they've beaten Buffalo.
Which they handled very well last week.
They handled very well last week. In this 2-week stretch, going to Tennessee, hosting the Browns, you're going to be favored by a touchdown. They are this week, a touchdown in both games. Can you play as the favorite? And I think that's a huge key, and that's what makes head coaches that's where they earn their money, right? It's like win the games you're supposed to and win a few games you're not supposed to, and you're going to have a lot of success. That's how you have 10 win teams. Can they do this as favorites right now? And then they have a stretch against the tough Falcons team, and they go to Tampa Bay, a tough Bucs team. But there's a bunch of games on the schedule, 2 against the Jets, these next 2 weeks, Titans and Browns. This will determine whether or not the Patriots are a playoff team if they just take care of business in the games where they're favored. They can lose when they're not, the clear top team and still make the playoffs. That's how easy their schedule is from here on out. Again, so next 6 weeks, they'll be favored by a touchdown at least against the Titans, Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals, just from what I'm seeing here. If you just win those 4 games, you're at 8, and you're knocking on the door of the playoffs. You don't even have to beat a good team the rest of the season. So that's what I'm looking for New England. Can they win the games that they're supposed to right now? And then Tennessee, how much does the change? We joke about the interim head coach bump, but there's something too. I don't know, a little spring in your step this week, different practice schedule. Mike McCoy said they're going to practice faster. That's what every interim coach does. We're going to practice faster. We're going to practice tempos. But the old coach was just sleepwalking through practice. We're going to practice better. That's what they do. And so do you get a little bump this week? What do they do with Cam Ward offensively? Yeah. That's going to be the big question here for Tennessee for the rest of the season.
And just generally what they change. I mean, you got rid of the guy who was not making anything better and seemed to be making things worse. Cam Ward, not only has he not played particularly well, but he's played very differently than I would have expected him to play as a prospect. Seeing his college tape coming into the NFL, like what will the first 6 weeks of Cam Ward look like? It hasn't looked like what I thought it would. So what do they change? Like that's the interesting thing to me. Whatever about a new coach bump and how much they're going to be playing for this guy or whatever, I'm interested in, okay, you had a week now, essentially a short week from firing the last guy. What do you adjust on a short week to try and get something better this week?
And I said earlier on the show, the Dano comments, like the Titans need more easy buttons. They need more quick game. It does feel like there's the Titans' offensive line, I think struggled early, have been better in recent weeks. Kind of hit or miss last week. They weren't great last week against the Raiders, but it does feel like there's way too many plays where it's just Cam Ward sitting back there, waiting for longer developing routes to open. It's too much, man. It's just too much of that. So I wonder they could overhaul the whole thing. Like Brian Callahan it was his offense, and his play calling, and you can't literally just implement a new offense. Like they're going to have the same playbook, the same plays, but I want to see if they're pulling from different parts of the playbook here, getting more quick game, getting the ball out of his hands, and having 15 to 20 of those plays per game, boot action, screens, and then start taking your shots off of that. So I think it's an opportunity for Tennessee to see more what you can get from Cam Ward and put him in better position here down the stretch.
No, definitely. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to watch this offense and see what they can do in relatively short order to change things and what they change. And then for the Patriots, it's just they look like a pretty good football team right now. I mean, we said like the upper range of their potential outcomes this season was like an 11-win playoff team. Actually, maybe the upper range of their outcomes is even higher than that, given that suddenly Buffalo is wobbling. They've already beaten Buffalo once. I mean, the Patriots might have to grasp with a very maybe unexpected reality that they're good, like good.
Including at quarterback. Drake May, update here, 6 weeks into the season. He's 5th in PFF grade, 3rd in EPA per play, 3rd in completion percentage over expectation. The downfield passing has been extremely efficient for New England and Drake May. The only place he's below average in all these metrics is pressure to sack percentage, right? The number of pressured dropbacks that turn into sacks. That has been an issue for Drake May. But as far as throwing the ball, 73% completions, like everything is looking good right now. And I think it's just a matter of, again, I think the storyline for New England is now taking care of business, right? Like they lost to the Raiders in week 1. Their other loss was to Pittsburgh where they fumbled and turned it over on the goal line twice. I mean, they are that game away from being 5-1 and then just throw out the week 1 game because it's week 1.
Right.
That's how close they are to being a really high-end team, but they got to take care of business at least 4 out of these next 6 weeks here.
First thing I would be looking for in terms of a change for Tennessee is personnel. They were one of the most extreme teams in the NFL in terms of 11 personnel usage because of that system, right? Brian Callahan's offense, according to Sumer Sports, 78.6%, second most in the NFL. Immediately, I would swing that towards more 2 tight end sets. Get Gunnar Helm on the field, try and use both those guys. Because, look, it's not like they have the wide receivers to be running 11 personnel in the first place. So let's pivot towards 2 tight ends. Gunnar Helm showed some stuff, both in preseason and during the regular season and the occasions he's on the field. Get him out there, run more 2 tight end stuff, like get away from the extreme 11 personnel, which everybody else seems to have, and Brian Callahan didn't.
We have T'Vondre Sweat also, by the way, back at practice for Tennessee. I mean, if you're a Titans fan, last thing, what are we looking for the rest of the year? How the young guys are going to progress. That includes Sweat, obviously Cam Ward, the young receivers. How are they going to progress? And who's part of the rebuild, right? Who are they going to offload? Who are they going to build around? And can they show some semblance of life from Cam Ward here?
Also importantly, I see on the Twitter machine this morning that Ryan Fitzpatrick has successfully turned Pablo Torre onto the case of why Travion Henderson's nameplate is so weirdly small.
I think somebody in New England media did
They've already done it?
I think they may have done the work there.
Yeah.
That it looks like a Madden glitch.
Yes.
Did you see the speaking of Madden glitches, I think it was Andrew Callahan from New England media. I retweeted it yesterday. Did you see the play where Travion Henderson looked like he was stuck in a pass blocking Madden glitch?
No.
And then they asked him about it. So he steps up, and his assignment in pass pro was the defensive end.
Yeah.
He's like, I was supposed to cut the defensive end, and then the defensive end drops into coverage, and so Henderson is just sitting there in his pass protection set, like almost like in Madden, where like this is your assignment. And, nobody's there to block, so you just sit there in your pass blocking set. And Henderson did that. And he was sitting there for like 3 seconds just like stuck in a video game. And somebody pointed it out and then asked him, he goes, oh, yeah, I looked stupid. I was supposed to cut but that was his assignment. He wasn't supposed to cut. He wasn't supposed to like chip and then get out in a route. Like that was it. Cut the defensive end. Defensive end drops into coverage, and he just sits there in pass pro. It
still feels like you can find something to do.
Find work.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. Anyway. He does have. I mean, once he gets the nameplate sorted,
it's just such a strange. It's not like Henderson is one of those names that look. It's like so big. We need to start adjusting the font for this name. Like it's a relatively normal name size.
The other thing for New England though is they have not only have they fumbled a lot early in the season. The run game has been ineffective. That needs to be better at some point. I think there's a lot of downhill runs that they're running into nowhere. Maybe the wide zone perimeter run game is going to be more effective for them. They got to figure something out to have a little bit more effectiveness there. I still like Henderson, but him and Stevenson not running effectively right now, even outside of Stevenson's fumbles. All right, 7-point game spread. Where are you going to go?
I'm going with the Patriots to win and cover.
I'll take Tennessee. I like New England to win. I'll take Tennessee to cover.
Doing that a lot this week. I don't like that.
Doing what?
Taking teams to win and cover.
You? Yeah. Like last week. Didn't work for me at all last week. Harry's taking the Patriots here. I got the interim head coach bump over the revenge game.
Okay.
Is what I'm going with. Resetting your computer.
Well, Vrabel's not even buying in. No, I'm
if he doesn't think it's a revenge game, how can we even believe it?
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's dismissing the power of the revenge game.
That would be like dismissing the ginger power.
Crazy. Who would do that?
Carolina Panthers at the New York Jets. Panthers now favored by 1.5. They get started the other way in favor of the Jets. 42.5 is the over-under. 3-3 Panthers and the 0-6 Jets. However, neither team has won Panthers on the road or Jets at home. It's really 0-3 versus whatever the Jets have
Right.
done at home.
Yeah.
It's really a couple winless teams.
Ofer versus Ofer.
Yeah. Can the Panthers get off the schneid, as they
Can
say,
they get off the schneid?
on the road games?
This is my fingerprint scanner thing. I was trying to log into NFL Pro and see if it was working today. Because apparently coming doesn't appear to be there at the moment.
I had it earlier today.
Not
on this
seeing
computer.
it. But apparently coming to NFL Pro or maybe NGS is chip data for pass rushers, like how often they're chipped.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Using the chips in the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
For chip data.
How often they're chipped using the chip data. But,
That's good.
It's not there at the moment anyway.
Yeah, they've got. I've got their pressure numbers up here. So I have the site working for me right now.
Yeah, no, it's alive now.
Wasn't yesterday.
Correct. There was some kind of weird, worldwide internet glitch yesterday.
Was
where,
YouTube down for a bit?
Yes. YouTube was down for a bit. Google had some issues. Weird stuff wasn't logging in. It was all kinds of stuff out on the internet streets.
The grid. People attacking the grid.
Sure.
Anyway, what are you looking for in this game?
What am I looking for in this game? Well, hopefully.
Panthers run the ball, stop the run team here.
Yes.
Rico Dowdle, is he going to break some kind of 3-game rushing record?
I'm sure he's on course for one.
Best
He has
is
a big
probably
game.
James Harrison, the running back.
Yeah,
Remember that?
nobody remembers.
I did, fantasy team.
I
09.
hopefully we're going to get Jalen Coker back in the lineup for Carolina, and I'm really interested to see if that can unlock this passing game a little bit. Obviously, Tedero McMillan has been really important for them. You know, Xavier Leggett still isn't offering an awful lot. They're getting bits and pieces from other receivers, but not like a consistent every down threat the way Coker was last year. If he can unlock Bryce Young and give him like a really good, well-balanced receiving core for the first time, that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I think Bryce. What do you think about Bryce Young so far? Like, I think he's been
okay.
Okay,
Disappointing relative to what he didn't pick up the way he left off last season. He didn't go all the way back, to being the player that he was when he was benched. He found a middle ground somewhere. And I think you can say, okay, maybe that's down to the fact that he hasn't had Jalen Coker or whatever. But like at some point, it's tough because on the one hand, you have to acknowledge the impact that these supporting elements have on a quarterback. On the other hand, you also have to accept the reality that to be a high-level NFL quarterback, you're probably going to have to work on the basis that you're never going to have your entire supporting system in place at all times. Like, you can't just go, well, Justin Herbert's missing a couple of offensive linemen anymore, so it's okay for him to be bad now, right? So that's kind of the problem with Bryce Young is it's a tough line to tread between figuring out how much of this is his limitations and how much, is the fact that he hasn't had guys like Jalen Coker out there.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, a couple of the plays he made last week, double move to Tedero and McMillan, little shoulder fake, little shoulder shimmy, and the other touchdown from McMillan. Like, he still does some high-end quarterback things. It's going to be a consistency thing for Bryce Young right now. It's a far cry from where it started.
Yeah.
But like you said, we think he was getting a little unlucky at times last year and playing some high-end football. I don't know if we've seen that from him yet. I am fascinated because I think Coker brings a skill set and another option that they haven't had.
Yeah.
And I know he's a second-year UDFA, but they're not getting that from Xavier League yet. They're not getting that there. Run game's been fantastic for Carolina with Rico Dowdle going up against the Jets. The Jets can it's a bit of strength against strength here. Like, the Jets have not rushed the passer well at all, but they've been better against the run. The Jets' passing attack has been awful.
Yeah.
And their pass protection was awful
So-
last week against the Broncos, but the Panthers still have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL.
This is
So
the
it's
thing,
like pillow fights on both sides. It's like strength against strength and weakness against weakness on both sides of the ball here.
This is a total polar opposite, though, of the type of defense that the Jets faced a week ago in Denver. Denver's pass rush is dominant. Their coverage is dominant. And Justin Fields, for whatever you think of Justin Fields, I think he's a quarterback where, faced with a certain specific set of surrounding circumstances, will make it significantly worse, right? There's a reason that he has multiple games in his career, even before last week, where he has as many sacks as completions, right? Because if you can get a lot of pass rush and pressure and you have tight coverage on the back end, well, Fields doesn't like putting the ball in the air unless the guy's wide open anyway, and he has a tendency to try and bail from pressure and make things happen on his own. If you're able to do both those things well, he's going to have a game like he had, where he just basically implodes and takes a bunch of sacks that he shouldn't and never passes the ball in any kind of productive manner. Carolina can't do that. They don't have as good a coverage on the back end. They don't have the kind of pressure that Denver can get. They certainly can't get it in as many different ways at the same time. And Fields has been very boom or bust this year. He's either been quite productive or he's had games like he had last week, even if that was an extreme version. He's coming off a game where everyone's calling for his job and writing him off, and Aaron Glenn is having to answer all these questions about his starting job. I kind of feel like this is a sneaky bounce back spot for him.
And a pivotal game for the Panthers on the other side, because they're 3-3. They have the Bills and Packers over the next couple weeks. Like, if you drop one to the Jets, that you would like to think as a 3-3 team trying to make a move in the South here, you would like to think the Panthers have a chance to win this. If you drop this one to the Jets, it's going to be tough against Buffalo, against Green Bay. You still have Falcons and 49ers coming up. To get to 4-3 right now would be huge for Carolina. I'm with you on the Fields thing. No, Garrett Wilson banged up. I mean, it's going to be a challenge throwing the ball. Every week I wonder if the Jets can get into this game plan where they can limit Fields' dropbacks to 20 to 25. Can you limit him or limit the offense that much to shorten the game and run the ball? And they've shown snippets of it. But I think that's their best chance, even against Carolina, who's done a nice job with Derek Brown, A'Shawn Robinson up front. Linebackers are playing better. They're playing a lot of dime with Trayvon Merrick in and around the line of scrimmage. I think Carolina is doing some good things on both sides of the ball, where if they start to add more talent, just a few more pieces, Coker coming back at receiver, get the pass rushers going, I think Carolina's at least moving in the right direction. Is it a trap game for Carolina?
If they don't take it seriously, yeah. Like, I do think that the Jets offense might actually spark to life a little bit this week, because the Panthers just can't do any of the things that Denver did to them. And that was an unusual, perfect storm of stuff that's going to create that terrible Justin Fields game. This shouldn't be like that. Now, maybe Justin Fields still plays bad because, he's not necessarily a great quarterback, but this is the type of game where you might get the best version of him.
All right, man. Panthers by 1.5 on the road. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go with the Jets to cover because of that. I think you might get a sneaky Justin Fields game, and that might be enough to sneak their first win of the season.
Oh, man, I think Panthers are turning it around. I'll take the Panthers, as will Harry.
I also just don't think that the Jets should have been as bad as they've been this season. Like, I'm still clinging to this prior that they should be feistier than that, and there's too much talent in this team to just outright suck for the entire season.
No, it's fair. They should be better. Quick break to talk about our friends over at Root Insurance. Root Insurance believes that good drivers deserve better rates, so they've created a new kind of car insurance that rewards good drivers in an easy-to-use app. Traditional car insurance companies focus on demographics like age, zip code, occupation, and credit score to price your coverage. But when Root offers a rate, your behavior behind the wheel gets more weight than any other single factor. They don't use occupation or education level to negatively affect your rate. So while you drive, Root gathers and analyzes data from your smartphone sensors. After a few weeks, you'll get a car insurance quote based primarily on your driving. Save up to 44% off your initial Root quote after you take the test drive. If you need a tow truck, jump start, or if you lock your keys in the car, Root will cover the help you need to get back on the road when you opt into roadside assistance. The Root app makes it easy to edit your coverage, update your policy, or file a claim in just 3 minutes. You can get started today at Root.com. We halfway through? What do we got here? Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Couple little lefties going at it here. Browns by 2.5 against the Dolphins. 2.5 for the Browns, over under just 38.5 in this game. Couple soft tossing lefties. No, Gabriel's got good velocity.
Yeah, I saw somebody, it was one of those kind of, everything is bad type tweets. They're like, well, yeah, sure, Dylan Gabriel is short, and they did the classic thing of, well, he's short, therefore he has a noodle for an arm. And you're like, well, no, he doesn't, though. I think obviously last week was not where the Browns offense wants to be, right? Dylan Gabriel dropping back a million times, them not being able to run the ball at all. Get right spot for that is you're going against Miami's defense that can't stop anything on the ground. They're giving up over 5 yards per carry. They're giving up almost 2 yards before contact per game or per carry or per rush. Quinshon Judkins, we've seen before, like the Browns really want to use him as an every down bell cow workhorse running back. They would like that for Dylan Gabriel as well. I feel like this offense will actually hum against the Dolphins defense. They're going to run the ball relentlessly. Dylan Gabriel can operate the pass game off the back of that, the short, stuff over the middle to tight ends, Harold Fannin. I think that this is going to be a get-right spot for Gabriel.
Every offense's get-right spot is against the defense of the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I think it wasn't just the run game. I thought that first start by by Dylan Gabriel, where they just went. Yeah. It wasn't all run, pass, but it was run, it was play action, it was screen, it was that's the game flow that they're looking for here. They don't want last week where Dylan Gabriel threw 900 passes between 5 and 12 yards over the middle of the field, and that's their offense. By the way, the number of times that Dylan Gabriel threw it without his receivers looking, like he's got the quickest time to throw in the league. And I don't know if it's by design or if he's just like so much smarter than all of his receivers. Like, man, I'm just seeing this faster and better than you throwing before you're even ready. The number of times he was hitting dudes in the helmet or just throwing when they weren't looking last week. And by the way, if they turn around, they're open. Now they're open. They might get popped by a safety, but they're open. So yeah, I'm interested in the Gabriel thing. We're 1 week away. I don't know if the Shouty shows did they go off on last week's performance yet?
Probably. That was why they were clamoring for Shedeur to start and trade him away if you're not going to start him.
Haven't seen the fodder. How could you put this guy in? Like, if they lose to the Dolphins and Dylan Gabriel doesn't look good against the Dolphins, we're getting all the Shedeur takes. Get him out there. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm not against seeing Shedeur within the next few weeks, right?
We're going to see him at some point. Just have some patience here. This is all going according to plan. I said at the start of the season we were going to get a month of Joe Flacco, we're going to get a month of Dylan Gabriel, then we're going to get a month of Shedeur Sanders, and then we're going to figure out how to stitch together the last month of the season with whatever's left standing. That's been the game plan for Cleveland. And then we're on to the draft, where we have 2 first-round picks, and hopefully a quarterback has emerged at that point as the guy we want to draft.
And just get Dante Moore in there with those guys. What's the weather report here? Windy with Tua's arm. Never know. Tough throwing the ball in Cleveland.
Write it off.
As Oil Can Boyd said.
Throw it out.
You never know what kind of weather you're going to get when you build a stadium on the ocean. That's what he said. When they got snowed out.
Oil Can Boyd?
Oil Can Boyd.
What the
Dennis
hell kind of
Oil Can Boyd.
Huh.
Yeah. Mid-'80s Red Sox pitcher.
Okay.
He was famous in the 80s.
Right.
Had some off-field issues. Was a quirky dude. Good pitcher, though.
Oil Can was quirky?
Oil Can was quirky. So he was at his best in the 80s. He pitched against me in 05.
Right.
He made a comeback in 05 with the Brockton Rocks. Opening day starter for the Brockton Rocks. He gets out there throwing probably 82, all off-speed stuff, pitching backwards, all off-speed. Must have been 48 or something. Like he was old at that time. He was pretty good, though. He's in the league. Can-Am League. So Oil Can said, if you're in Cleveland and you get a stadium on the ocean, this is what you get. You get some crazy weather.
Tua has apologized for calling out the leadership in Miami. So that's really, an interesting development.
I hope that he called a players-only meeting.
To apologize for the players-only meeting.
And took attendance. For accountability purposes. Bradley Chubb didn't show up.
Maybe now we can just send out the minutes to the people that aren't showing up, I'm going to call a players-only meeting to apologize, and if you didn't make it to the meeting, here's the substance of the meeting recorded for you handily in minute form, Like if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, or if Muhammad won't come to the mountain, move the mountain to the Muhammad, right? So if players aren't going to show up to my players-only meeting, I'll move the meeting to the players. I'll simply give them what we talked about. Here are the minutes of the players-only meeting for those that couldn't attend.
He just steps in the locker room and is like, attention, please, while you're all here. Players-only meetings. Anyway.
I mean, the vibes remain not good in Miami. So if they lose to Cleveland, if they get run over by the Browns, Dylan Gabriel has an efficient day, 212 yards passing, but 1 touchdown, no interceptions. They run for like $150 and the Dolphins just get steamrolled. I mean, it's at some point something's got to change, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're up against it. I think
What I don't know is what the confidence level is on McDaniel in the building. Like, from outside, it looks rough, right? And I think his shtick generally plays badly when things aren't going well. So people are looking to throw his name on the hot seat and be like, McDaniels, it's just a matter of time before he's the next guy at the building. I kind of wonder, though, are they more wedded to him than that? Like, are they internally, do they still have confidence in McDaniel and be like, you know what, the problem is the quarterback who has no leadership and is calling out his teammates and stuff?
Honestly, I said at the beginning of the year, I think it's more, I think it's the personnel issue is at least as big.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
It's a personnel issue.
The GM should be under, I think, significantly more pressure than McDaniel.
They went for it in 22. They're feeling the burden of going for it and not having draft picks the last 3 years. But then you also you have a good defensive line on paper. Like, you have a good paper defensive line, or at least on the edges, and you've got people underachieving. But it's a full issue there. Anyway, I'm actually interested in this game. I love the run game. Watching it, I want to see what happens. So the Dolphins have. So our friend Sam Hoppins states, he's not even our friend. I just steal all of his graphics. The worst EPA, like adjusted EPA against for run defense in the NFL, like by far. And you just watch it and like, why are the defensive tackles 12 yards downfield? It's bad. But this is what Dallas was last year. And then at some point it does get better, right? It does get a little bit better, or you can put 8 in the box, like you can get there. At what point is Miami just going to say enough is enough? Like, we're going to stop the run. And if this is the week where they can limit the Browns and then get into this game flow where Gabriel's dropping back 50 times, they have a chance to win. But I don't have faith in them stopping the run yet until they prove it. So
no,
let's make picks. Cleveland by 2.5 here. Oh, by the way, just the Cleveland defensive line against the Dolphins offensive line as well. Quick pressure. Tua, like, he's got to be on point here.
Yeah.
The one other matchup, by the way, Darren Waller as he emerges. Grant Delpit on the other side likes to cover, usually cover in tight ends. Fun little matchup there if you're watching the game closely. Keep an eye on it.
And honestly, it didn't seem, I mean, it might have been a matchup to watch for a different reason at the start of the season, but Patrick Paul going up against Myles Garrett is actually kind of fun. Patrick Paul's playing legitimately pretty well at left tackle for the Dolphins. Now, obviously, he's always aided by the Tua quick release and all that kind of stuff, but like Myles Garrett is a monster and difficult to stop, but Paul's done a good job so far this season.
I know it doesn't look great on paper. I'm interested in the game, though. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And I like seeing the Dolphins go to cold weather cities, even though it's October. See what they can do.
It's been, when is this game? Middle of the day. I mean, it could be 80 degrees in Cleveland the way the weather's been this week.
Hey, Siri, what's the weather in Cleveland this Sunday at 1 p.m.? What?
What does Siri say?
67 with showers. Ooh, showers.
Rain, small hands. It's going to be a problem.
Little poo-armed lefties throw it in the rain.
What were Dylan Gabriel's hands?
Massive. Probably huge because he's
weren't.
got a good arm.
They weren't big. He had like 9-inch hands, I think. He was only just the cutoff.
Oh, yeah. 94%. Winds 20 to 30. This is what I'm saying.
We got wind and rain for a couple of small-handed lefty quarterbacks.
Yeah. Cleveland 9-6.
No wonder it's going to be a run-heavy game.
I got Cleveland 9-6 to cover and win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns.
You're not going to get. I guarantee you will not find another podcast that in a Miami Dolphins Cleveland Browns preview
simply writes off the game as a windy, wet encounter.
That first, asked Siri about the weather to influence their analysis, and mentioned Oil Can Boyd.
No,
all at the same time.
Definitely the only podcast out there this week that's mentioned Oil Can Boyd.
Former opponent.
Yeah.
Not a teammate.
Shared a field with him.
Shared a field with Oil Can. We beat them. Harry's taking the Dolphins here. I don't know if Harry's checked the weather report. Are we done with this game? My goodness. Saints and Bears. Sunday at 1. Bears by 5.5. Why we do 3 hours every week? Who knows? I have so much fun doing this show. Don't you?
Maybe it's just, I mean, who knows how much time Oil Can's going to take up in a given week.
Let's really upset the apple cart here. Which second-year quarterback would you rather have? Yeah. Caleb Williams or Spencer Rattler?
Yeah. Mina is super high on Spencer Rattler. Like, she's like really, really high.
Yeah, she was in the Sam Darnold high for a while. They were canceling meetings for
right.
a couple of years, and then they're like, come back.
Obviously, she was on the Geno hire as well.
She was.
Yeah. And
she just has a soft spot for the later round, like the reclamation project or the later round.
Me and Mina were like original Tyrod Taylor to Rod. Bandwagon fans.
She probably loved Sam Howell too, didn't she? She was probably in on Sam
Don't know
Howell.
where she was in Sam Howell.
Rattler's playing some good football.
He is legitimately good football. Like it's okay. It's still not the best situation in the world, and so the ceiling may be a bit limited, but he is playing well week on week, and not always just well when the situation is good. Like well under pressure, well in some plays that are out of structure. He's doing well, and it is. Obviously, your priors still have to factor in here, and Caleb Williams still has the prior of being a number 1 overall pick and a genuinely special type of talent. And his ability to extend plays and make freaky things happen is nuts. But Rattler is playing very well.
Some numbers. 10th in PFF grade.
It's pretty good. Where is Caleb Williams?
Well, 18th.
Now
they're similar in EPA.
Okay.
Rattler's 25th. Caleb Williams is 27th. The difference is success rate, though. So, again, percentage of plays that are
successful.
Positive. It's either using 5 yards on first down,
right.
half on second down, convert third and fourth down. Or it might just be positive EPA. I don't know how it's being measured. But Spencer Rattler is 13th. Caleb Williams is down at 30th. Right? So here's where they're both different. Like Rattler has the high success rate, so more good plays staying on schedule, but fewer explosives. Caleb Williams being at as high as he is in EPA, but low in success rate means there's the big plays, right? There's the bomb to Burden. There's, by the way, his best throw the other day may have been the negated touchdown to Roma Dunze on the back shoulder, Caleb Williams. I believe in those plays, even if they're negated by a stupid illegal formation. Those things should count. Rattler's also a little high in turnover-worthy play rate. He's good in pressure to sack ratio or percentage. Caleb Williams is actually a little bit better in that than he's been in the past. Williams is down in clean pocket success rate, clean pocket EPA per play, toward the bottom of the league, as is Rattler, right? So if there's things to say, hey, maybe Rattler's not going to maintain it, it's the clean pocket stuff. Is it too much? Playing too well under pressure, unsustainable. Right. But the bottom line on Rattler is for a former 5th-round pick who I think had a second-round skill set and just ran out of teams to draft him.
And a weird
It's career. An intriguing player.
I mean, you need to sort of remember that at one point he was seen as a future first-round pick and a guy that was going to be, a top quarterback from his class and a top prospect. He was a really highly titled recruit as well, right? Like he was a top.
Yeah, Austin Gale in yesterday's conversation mentioned it quickly. He was projected to go number 1 overall at one point because it was whatever.
But he was a high recruit, had a spectacular year at Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley. Then it kind of fell apart, and Caleb Williams ends up getting the job.
Right,
ironically.
And in the 2000, maybe the 22 draft, like one of the draft classes where there was no clear top guy, it's like, well, it's got to be Spencer Rattler. He's at Oklahoma, and he's the next guy.
But even independent of the fact that maybe he was a second or third round sort of talent overall at his draft time, if you rewind a little bit further than that, he was seen as a guy that could have been a first-round player or even a number 1 overall player back, admittedly, when that was in the sort of, prototype type of formation stage of what the future draft class would look like. But we're potentially talking about someone whose theoretical upside is even significantly higher than just a guy who was a second or a third-round pick who then slid to the 5th. Like a guy who at one point was genuinely seen as, a guy that could be a legit top prospect and a future star. Now, the counter argument to that is you could say all the same things about Sam Howell, right? Who also slid to the 5th round, also got an opportunity to start, also showed signs of life, and then was flat out ass when he got a full-time starting job, right? So, it's a little early yet to be like all aboard the Spencer Rattler hype train. But for the moment, he is looking good and at least making the Saints' decision interesting.
And I'll say the same discussion. You're going to Chicago. It is tougher to throw there. I mean, I'm just saying, we have to put dome analysis into this whole thing. It does make it easier to throw the ball.
You're saying it's just a product of the dome.
I'm just saying that you have to You have to add that to Daniel Jones' analysis, and then you got to add it to Matthew Stafford, his entire career, Matt Ryan. You have to add it. It's a factor. It is more difficult to play in Cleveland or Chicago. Maybe that's a reason why, or in the Meadowlands. Like maybe that's a reason why they haven't had good statistical quarterbacks through the years. Maybe if Eli was in a dome, he wouldn't have as many interceptions.
Meanwhile, Caleb Williams just out here putting up numbers better than Troy Aikman in the Windy City.
Jeez. Were people putting that comparison up?
Oh, yeah.
Because I saw
Aikman was mad on the broadcast and, basically treating Caleb Williams like he was trash. It later emerged. The thing that really narked them was when they called it a lucky win, which it kind of was in the base that Washington fumbled the ball,
They fumbled a handoff running the clock out.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a fairly defensible statement to make that it was a lucky win. It later emerged that apparently Caleb Williams basically just bailed on the production call with Troy Aikman. Like he had a call scheduled, he was in the building watching tape and just never told Troy about it until later, and then called up Troy at like 11 at night, and Troy was busy or asleep or whatever, right? So maybe that was why Troy
Are you making up the 11 at night thing?
It was late at night. 11 I've conjured out of the air, but it was late.
Troy goes to bed early, I guarantee that.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe Troy was asleep. Anyway, people have made the point that that's a fairly unprofessional act from Caleb Williams and or the Chicago Bears to not be like, hey, Troy, he's running late. Can you hang on? Whatever. But maybe that was why Troy was in a particularly angry mood with Caleb Williams in that game. Either way, this became a thing. Troy Aikman versus Caleb Williams. So it starts off with Bears people being like, look at Troy Aikman's stats. He was never even good. And then somebody was like, Troy's mad because Caleb Williams had more yards last year than Troy ever threw for a season. You're like, are we actually serious? What are we talking about here?
Most of our shows just asking ourselves, are people really that dumb?
And the answer is invariably yes, they are. Or at least some of them.
The graphic I saw going around was, why is Troy Aikman in the Hall of Fame? And it was him against Ryan Tannehill's career. That one was, there was some virality to that.
Yeah. And people are like, look, if we can't, like you cannot possibly, how can people not
Let's
understand?
Fix this too. Let's fix this. Let's
compare.
Fix it. Let's do it right now, Sam. Let's do it right now. We fixed PFF grades on NBC. And what we did is we said, you're not allowed to put, like, could the average fan, could smart fans handle a PFF ranking and understand context and everything? Maybe. But you just can't put that type of tool into the hands of the masses.
There you go.
Right?
Bears Muse, Caleb Williams versus Troy Aikman throughout their first 20 games. I mean, Caleb Williams' numbers are better.
Let me just add one more rule to the equation here. If someone has Muse at the end of their...
Well, they're that StatMuse thing, that website that puts out the data.
You got to ignore that.
My favorite stat, by the way.
It's going to be biased.
Interceptions of the first 20 games, 7 for Caleb Williams, 31 for Troy. It was rough back in the 90s as a young quarterback.
I mean, Caleb Williams is 1 year removed from probably having 3 Super Bowls, but then probably 6 because Aikman had 3. So 6. He's on pace for 6 Super Bowls based off that.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. It's all Pro Football Reference's fault because they allow the tools for the people. They allow them to say, here's a quarterback in the 90s, here's a quarterback today, click button, put the comps up. So the same way we're going to say PFF grades on Sunday Night Football, just use badges, just highlight the good, whatever. Just need to put Pro Football Reference. And I don't want to lose our potential influencer status from Pro Football Reference in the future. I'm sure they would love to have us.
I think they've already reached out.
Right. So I love the website. They're great. They just need to disallow the comparison of the quarterback from the 80s and 90s and the quarterbacks of today. Just don't even allow it. Don't allow users to say, add Ryan Tannehill, add Troy Aikman, compare. Just be like, nope. Can't do that. Sorry.
We'll refuse to compare those quarterbacks.
Sorry, we cannot make this query. And if you're making it, we need to inform you that the adjustments across era are just too strong.
That's it. We are capable of adjusting all of these numbers for era. So simply default to show the adjusted comparison. If you're going to, the thing is, it's a literal graphic where it's green, right? If it's better. You compare these two things side by side, column A, column B, and when column A is better, you get a green shading on the box, right? When column B is better, you get a green shading on the box. So simply default, if you're going to show it that way, this is better, then the default view should be the adjusted number, right? We are capable of adjusting all these for era. This is the adjusted number.
They do have.
That one is better.
In Pro Football Reference does have this. They have passer rating plus and
Yes.
yards per attempt plus,
But
which
the
adjusts
default-
it and it just puts it on a 100
Yes.
a scale
It
of
needs
100
to be
being average.
You need to show a default adjusted number for that comparison thing, because
Yeah.
people are too dumb to look at two numbers and be like, well, all of the numbers in the 80s were lower.
When we started watching football,
Except Marino.
a passer rating of 90 was really good.
Yeah, and
100 was
60%
almost
used
unheard
to
of.
be the completion rate
Yes.
target. Like, if you're above 60, you're Joe Montana and Bill Walsh cheating the game.
But that's my other hot take. Our friend Josh Hermsmeyer, who's been like, hey, Steve Young and Brett Favre, they're the most productive guys. I'm like, they had the West Coast offense.
Right.
When everyone else is trying to defend.
But
20-yard
60% was
outcuts
seen
and
as
everything.
witchcraft back in the late 80s, early
because
90s.
they ran slants.
Now we're talking about Drake May clearing 70. It's just like, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's not even remarkable. It's just like, oh, look, Drake May is clearing 70%
The entire
passer
league
rate.
is above 60% completions now.
Yes.
It is completely night and day. Now, we're preaching to the choir here.
Yes.
We have smart listeners, smart viewers. Now, somebody clicked into the Saints-Bears preview, and there's some Bears fans here are just like, all right, man, get to the game. What else do we want to talk about with the game? I think it's a big one for the Bears, right? Like now we're in this world where the Saints are clearly, they're 1-5, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Bears are sitting here at 3-2.
But they're the feisty team that, we expected maybe from the Jets. Like, the Saints are making it difficult for everybody every week.
They are. The Bears, this is their pivot point in the season because last year they were 4-2. And every team in the NFC North was 4-2 or better at this point, and then things went south for the Bears. Like, now they got to show some consistency, and Caleb Williams needs to show some consistency. I think we still are lacking the 3 or 4 game stretch where he's played well in his 2 years. Like, I want to see him start to stack those. And yeah, there were some issues on Monday night for Caleb.
And I wonder if they can keep him more in rhythm. Like, we've talked about that weird thing at the moment where on the script, like the 15-play script, he looks really good and quick and in rhythm and decisive, and then it sort of dissipates over the course of the game.
How do you maintain that?
Does a worse defense simply allow you to extend that longer? Like, can you keep him away from trying to go ad-lib off script, extend play mode, if you just face a worse defense? Can he stay in that rhythm more and go deeper into a game playing that way? Because I think in an ideal world, you want him playing largely on the script, and then when things break down, he's got an almost unique ability to extend plays and make freaky throws, like on the run, right? Like the velocity that he generates, not even necessarily the ability, like the throws that he can make, the velocity that he's able to conjure from these off-platform, on-the-run, full-speed throws in any direction is utterly nuts. But you don't want him doing that every play. And he seems to have either an on or an off mode for that. Like, it's either everything I'm doing is this, or I'm not touching, I don't need it yet.
All right, man. Finding that balance for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, the story every single week for me. What's that balance of gimme plays, in rhythm plays, and special plays? When and if they find that, that's when you get to that next level for the Bears and their offense. Can they cover 5.5 here against New Orleans? New Orleans on the road in Chicago, early morning rain, supposed to clear up, but some wind. Get some wind.
Windy City.
For a dome team in Chicago.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the Saints cover.
All right, I'll take the Bears, as will Harry, taking the Bears here. Las Vegas Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Chiefs by 11.5 here, 3-3 Chiefs, 2-4 Raiders. Over-under is 45.5 from our friends over at Fanduel. Chiefs, of course, get Rashee Rice back from his suspension. We're at week 7.
Yeah.
So they managed to go 3-3 without him. Also managed to get the offense back on track without him over the last 3
weeks. You see the hype videos that he's posting? Like the return, like trailers for the return of Rashee Rice. He's posting like return hype videos as if he's coming back from a knee injury or something, as opposed to the thing you're coming back from is being suspended for street racing and almost like killing people.
Yeah, some of his teammates had some like free Rashee shirts on earlier this year. It's not great, not smart. It's like
I understand
had that for Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah,
like his old Pouncies or whatever.
I understand wanting to support your teammate and stuff, but at some stage, have some awareness of the fact that the thing he did was very bad and he deserved to be suspended.
Support your teammate, but it's not like a cry. It's not
right.
It's not like a cry for activism here.
Be happy that he's back. Yeah. Don't be, acting like the reason he was gone in the first place is an injustice.
The other story for Kansas City now, Josh Simmons, first-round left tackle, missed Sunday Night Football. I keep saying, hey, they're healthy now.
Yeah.
They are physically healthy across the board, Kansas City, but they were missing Josh Simmons for personal reasons. That remains a mystery in Kansas City. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes being asked about it, had no information. Mahomes said something along the lines of, we're praying for him. Andy Reid, something along the lines of, not commenting it on this time.
Yeah.
And there's no leaks or information as to what it is other than we're not expecting Josh Simmons this week.
No, and if anything,
and there's, of course, people theorizing that this is something serious and more long-term. We don't really know.
And if anything, it's gotten more confusing because initially the kind of report was, because this happened like late in the day before their game. It was like there was nobody in the injury report, and then suddenly Josh Simmons pops up as a injury-related thing, and he was going to miss the game. And initially it sort of got reported somewhere that it was like a family matter that he was, attending to or whatever. So, your mind sort of assumes sick relative or something like that, and he's got to go home. And then that, I think, got corrected. It's like it's not a family thing. So now it's just a mystery. It's just a mystery disappearance of Josh Simmons. Nobody knows how much anybody knows about it. Nobody knows what the deal is. I think at one point they said the GM will be sort of handling it, which suggests this might be not something that's getting fixed anytime soon. If the GM's involved, you're talking roster moves. So just nobody knows what he's dealing with or what the explanation is or how long it's going to be the case.
From a football perspective, Jalen Moore filled in pretty well the other night at left tackle. They signed him to be the starter before they drafted Josh Simmons for $15 million a year. So he's not just a swing tackle. Like he was at least a bridge starter.
Yeah.
Or a hedge if they could not draft a first-round left tackle, and of course they ended up getting both. So I don't think the Chiefs will be depleted there necessarily, but obviously, hope things end up okay with Simmons. We just don't have any more information at this point.
Right.
Raiders, injury-wise, Brock Bowers still banged up, didn't practice yesterday. You've got Jacoby Myers on the injury report. Remember last year, it's an 11.5-point spread, so always I'm thinking, okay, how is this game close? What would need to happen for this game to be close and competitive? Last year, the Raiders were in position to beat Kansas City in Kansas City, and that was when they just dropped a snap when they were in field goal range.
Yeah.
But to set that up was big plays from Brock Bowers and some downfield throws. And every time the Raiders play the Chiefs, I'm like, you just got to take some chances and try to keep up with this offense. If Bowers isn't playing again and he's not the same, like if they don't have the playmakers, it's going to be a challenge. But Geno's got to take care of the ball, and they got to take some downfield shots or completely dominate with the run game with Ashton Genty. And I don't know if they're ready just yet with this offensive line.
Yeah, Geno Smith, he needs to snap out of it. He's not as bad as he's been showing, or he hasn't been. Maybe he just fell off a cliff overnight, having gone to the Raiders. And look, there's mitigating circumstances. He's missing, some important players. It was a bad offensive line to begin with. It's missing Colton Miller. Brock Bowers, their best receiver, has been down. There are problems he's been dealing with, but his reaction to those problems can't be to become just a giant turnover machine and throwing the ball left, right, and center to defenses. You can't do that. And it's not even, I was saying this on Mina's show, it's not even the volume of turnover-worthy plays that is most concerning, and those are concerning. I think he's got the worst turnover-worthy play rate in the NFL.
It's up there, yeah.
But it's the type of turnover-worthy plays that he's dealing with at the moment. Even when he had bad plays with Seattle, it's not like it's just total and utter misreads and what is this and I don't know what you're even looking at.
Misplaced aggression.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like I've got a rocket. I'm going to try and fit the ball in between these two guys, and he doesn't quite get it there. He's had a bunch of plays this year where it's like, I don't even know what you're looking at. What is this? He's gone all the way back to being New York Jets Geno overnight. And okay, some of that can be explained by the lack of supporting structure, but some of it needs to be, they brought you over here because of what you showed in Seattle and gave you contract extension. You need to do better than this.
On the other side, Rashee Rice is coming back. And this is what they wanted to sign up for a year ago as the Chiefs. We've
Yeah.
never seen Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown all play at the same time. We know that Xavier Worthy runs his 4.2. We know Marquise Brown ran sub 4.3 or around 4.3. Tyquan Thornton, his sub 4.3 speed. And then Rashee Rice, who had developed into one of the best possession-type receivers, yak-heavy receivers in the NFL. And you have Travis Kelce. So now you're fully loaded as far as offensive weapons go. Two receivers who can really stretch the field with 4.2 speed. You have Hollywood. You have Rashee Rice working the underneath stuff with Kelce. Pacheco starting to run the ball a little bit more effectively out of the backfield, especially when they're under center. I mean, all the pieces are in place other than, you're starting left tackle, but you have another starting left tackle that you paid for. So Chiefs are equipped to start maybe having the best offense they've had in 3 years. They've already shown elements of that over these last few weeks. And so they're primed and set up. Plus they're going up against the type of system that they used to crush. Single high, cover 3, cover 1, Pete Carroll type of system.
Yeah.
I think this week in particular, they're equipped to have a lot of success. But going forward, if they stay healthy and we get to see this offense together, like this is a few-week stretch here where Kansas City might establish themselves as, oh, by the way, this is the best team in the NFL and maybe one of the best offenses again.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what they can do with this offense and how long it takes to put it together. The good news with Rashee Rice in particular coming back is, he's been there for a while. He's already established they know what to do with him, which wasn't the case with Hollywood Brown last year when he came back sort of for the first time. And it's like, well, they haven't really figured out how he fits in this thing yet because they haven't had him. This could be pretty fun. Like there's a world where this group of receivers ends up being a really elite core for Patrick Mahomes to work with.
And a fair point in the chat, Rashee Rice also coming off of an ACL injury.
Yeah.
So it's not just the suspension, but he was playing in the preseason. Mm-hmm. Maybe it takes him a little bit of time, but like he looked good in the preseason when we saw him.
Yeah,
play.
and I think a lot of that, it can be a slow recovery from an ACL in part because you're sort of working your way back and getting confident on the knee again. I mean, he's been working out during the suspension. It's not like that's been time where theoretically he's been getting used to the reconstructed knee again. I kind of think that should work in his favor as opposed to against him, that relative to a normal ACL recovery, where actually he's had a chance to ease into this and get himself more comfortable.
Yeah, I worry about this matchup for the Raiders in their secondary. They're going to need, I think, some bounces of the ball or some turnovers if they're going to keep it close. It's an 11.5-point spread. Where are you going to go with this one?
I'm going with the Chiefs to cover that.
Yeah, same as is Harry. All taking the Chiefs. 4 more games, Sam, but quick break to tell you about today's sponsor, Brooklyn Bedding. Brooklyn Bedding handcrafts every mattress in their Arizona factory. No middlemen, no gimmicks, just top-tier quality, honest pricing, and real American craftsmanship for a better night's sleep. Again, had my parents asking about this. They're in line for a new mattress. I sent them to brooklynbedding.com. That's the place to go because you get 30% off site-wide with our special discount code. Tell everybody about your Brooklyn Bedding mattress.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome so far. Big, thick mattress, and somehow they've created the witchcraft that enables it to be both a firm and a soft mattress, depending on what you prefer. So I have no idea how they achieved that, but it seems to work for both myself and my wife.
I'm just happy that Sam has a nice American-made mattress now, too. You should throw that into your interview. I have Brooklyn
I know
Bedding.
I got all these questions wrong, but I've got an American-made mattress.
You're in. You're staying in our country. We appreciate you. Go to brooklynbedding.com. Use our promo code Check the Mic at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. That's brooklynbedding.com. Promo codes Check the Mic for 30% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so that they know that we sent you. brooklynbedding.com. Promo code is Check the Mic. All right. Denver Broncos hosting the New York Giants. Giants at Broncos. Broncos favored by 7 here. A little rematch from the Super Bowl back in '86.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Whatever Super Bowl that was. Over-under is 40.5 per Fanduel. How could people have the Giants as 7-point dogs here, man? Don't they know?
Haven't they seen?
What about Dartaboo?
Dartaboo. Don't know. That can't be.
Hating on Dartaboo?
We can't. No. Stop.
Scatadart?
No. Stop it. Stop it now.
That won't catch on?
I hope not. God, I hope not.
Did you see, real quick, Bert Breer was showing this like Monday night Giants game. Like he retweeted this Monday night Giants game from '91. and Jeff Hostetler's the quarterback. And the interview is like he's got his shirt off in like the interview room. It's not like in the locker room. It's like the
Right.
dark interview room that they used to have on Monday night. He's like, why are all the Giants players shirtless in their interviews? And when I first saw the quote tweet, I was like, oh, what? He's talking about Dart and Scadaboo. Like this just happened last week.
Right.
It's like that's just what the Giants do apparently.
Yeah.
30 years later. Anyway,
Was he offended by the disrespect shown to the journalism community by not dressing appropriately in the press conference?
Bert was livid at the Super Bowl. Livid at the Super Bowl that the media workroom
Was in a parking lot. Yeah.
was a parking lot with a thin carpet thrown down on the floor.
Yeah, a lot like this, except worse, because his car's usually on the
We're
floor.
not offended
No,
that we're basically in a parking lot
Right.
studio. We made the best of it. Look at this.
it's what we deserve.
Bert was livid at that. Anyway.
So Jackson Dart coming off a genuinely spectacular game against Philadelphia. I wonder what that's going to look like against Denver's defense. I mean, he still is down quite a lot of receivers. You know, we talked about Denver's defense being a unique combination of nightmare for a guy like Justin Fields. They can cover on the back end, they can chase you down and get pressure up front. You know, can Denver suddenly expose the Emperor not wearing any clothes when it comes to Jackson Dart scrambling? Like, is that actually a thing, or did he just happen to play a team that wasn't able to control it? Does Denver just swarm all over him and bury him?
Denver does have, they just have that feel about them because, like, when they blitz, they get there. When they disguise the blitz, they still get there with their 4. You just feel, their pressure just watching through the TV or through the film. You just feel the heat that they bring, the number 1 pressure rate by a mile.
Yeah.
And it's coming from all angles, and it's coming with speed. It's coming from the interior. And every now and again, they're going to send the house.
I think that's an underrated aspect of this Broncos rush. Is not only is it really good and they get, but all those guys are fast. Like once they get loose, once they get off the block, once they get to the point where they've got you moving and they're running, all of them are fast. They're going to chase you down. John Franklin Myers, is playing on the interior. The dude runs a 4.7. Like these guys are going to catch you.
Yes, there's speed everywhere. So I have to say, it does feel like a Scadaboo heavy game for the Giants offense. Just try to slow it down a little bit. And then the Dart scrambling, like if he can avoid pressure in this game, then I'm...
If the scrambling works against Denver, I'm in. I don't understand it, but I'm willing to accept that it's a thing, even if it makes no sense to me.
So, yeah, I think, look, the Eagles were a challenge for Dart, and he answered that. They didn't have Jalen Carter. They're not rushing the passer in the same way that they have in the past. Denver brings like a different challenge to it because, again, it's speed everywhere, and there's more of a they could rush 5 or 6 at any given point, too. They send their linebackers. They get home pretty well. It's going to be a challenge for the Giants' offense. It's just the next one for Dart. And look, if he continues to elevate this offense with missing a Malik Neighbors and not having the best on-paper playmakers, like there's really something there for Dart, and he's coming off his best game throwing the ball.
I mean, if this game's in any way, shape, or form good for him, I think that's a massive win given the assignment that he's dealing with. I mean, this is one of the toughest defenses to deal with. We just saw what it did to Justin Fields, negative 10 yards, net passing. If Jackson Dart looks anything other than terrible in this game, I think it's a win.
Broncos on the other side coming off of a rough offensive performance against the Jets. Bo Nix, I think, has been a little hit or miss this year, right? He started slow. I think he came out of it just a little hit or miss in this offense, but they have the pieces. This is a good matchup, though. Again, every week, let's look Giants defensive line and what they can do and wreaking havoc from their all the different angles that they could bring pressure as well. Over-under is just 40.5 in this one, so Vegas expecting a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants need to try and run the ball all the time with Scadaboo, with Tyrone Tracy, with Jackson Dart as well. Like, just keep it away from the pass game and that Denver pass rush and coverage. That's the way to try and keep this game close. The other thing, though, by the way, is like the Broncos' offense has been not great. Bo Nix has been inconsistent. We've got the weekly overthrow that our guy Brandon Perna talks about.
Overthrow.
At least weekly, if not multiple times a week. I mean, they're making a lot of mistakes on that side of the ball. Like, kind of lost in how bad the Jets were last week was that Denver almost lost that game. That shouldn't have been even close based off what the defense did to Justin Fields. And yet it was, because special teams was giving up a return every time they kicked, because Bo Nix was leaving plays on the table again. Those things need to get sorted out if this Denver team is going to be, like a real force.
Bo Nix is 25th. Does that say 25th in PFF grade? It's a little faded here. 23rd in EPA per play. The interesting number, I hate CPOE, but it tells a story here. Completion percentage over expected, he's below average, 27th, and he's got one of the lowest average depth of targets in the NFL.
I hate CPOE, except when it backs up what I want to say.
It's not backing up. It tells a bit of a story here. Whereas I don't know that it always does. I don't hate it. I don't actually hate it. So Bo's got to hit some throws. Listen, there are a couple fewer Bo overthrows. They got, Bo hitting some throws from being an elite team. If they can get the offense hit a nice stride last year.
Well, those are certainly
that they need to hit more consistently.
Yeah, those Bo overthrow plays are almost invariably massive high leverage plays that would, you can be quite inefficient if you hit one of those every now and again. And he's missing so many of them.
The other part about the Denver defense that I love, Hufanga as a free agent signing last year, Dre Greenlaw as a free agent signing.
They might be getting him back
right.
This weekend. If not, then certainly the following.
Yeah, they've got the Chiefs coming up in a few weeks, don't they? Like if they want to look ahead, like having Greenlaw and Hufanga there added to this defense that was already fierce last year. I just love the way that's trending. If they can get more consistent play out of the offense, we're talking about the Broncos in this world where there's no elite teams.
Right.
Like that's their opportunity, man. They're 4-2, and I'll reference it all year. Just a leverage play away from 5-1.
Yeah, and they're kind of in that Steelers bucket where their defense is nasty enough that it could carry even a fairly inefficient other side of the ball quite far. Like they don't need the offense to be great for them to win games if the defense is going to do what it did a week ago.
Just Phil Simms, John Elway, Super Bowl. Phil Simms, was he 22 of 25, I think, in the Super Bowl against the Broncos? Completion percentage record, at least at the time. That's not this week. All right, Broncos by 7. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go with Denver. I think this defense will be something of a rude awakening for Jackson Dart.
Oh, man, I'm going to take Denver now. I'm switching. I had the Giants in. Harry's also taking Denver. We're going to go, all three of us. Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. It's Sunday at 4:25. Packers by 6.5 here in Arizona. Over-unders 44.5 from our friends over at Fanduel. Cardinals are opening the practice window for first-round pick Walter Nolan, defensive tackle. He's got 3 weeks to be activated. I haven't seen him at all. Didn't see him in the preseason. That'd be a nice addition. Yeah. Getting him back around
pretty
midseason.
Rough track record for them in terms of like Darius Robinson, Walter Nolan, like the two guys they've sort of like taken the biggest swings on the top of their last couple of drafts just get hurt and don't show up.
What's your key to this game, Sam?
Well, according to you, it's the red zone, Steve. The
what
Packers are top 5 on both sides of the ball in red zone success rate.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are not.
According to me?
No, well, that part is according to me.
Okay.
You identified the red zone as the key to the game.
Oh, the red zone's always the key. Turnovers as well. That's right. You asked me. I did say red zone.
Yeah.
And that's the research you came back with?
Correct.
Awesome. I was right. The Packers just feel good in all the peripheries this year, like all the red zone stuff, creating explosives with Jordan Love, making big plays when they need to. And then, remember, their defense looked like just an absolute juggernaut through 2 weeks. The only real exception was the Cowboys. So it's still a really good defense and has the potential to be a really good defense. Micah Parsons continues to create havoc up front. It's just a matter of coverage on the back end and putting it all together week to week and taking advantage of all of the havoc created by Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I'm torn on the Packers because I feel like their ceiling is exceptionally high this season. Like I've seen evidence that both their defense and their offense can be basically unstoppable, just not consistently or for a particularly long period of time. So I don't know if that's a case of like eventually it means they're going to click into gear on both sides of the ball, and then that's the wagon that we're waiting for to emerge this season, or if it just means this is part of the characteristics of being the youngest team in the NFL again. Like you end up with inconsistency. That's like part of the bargain when you set up your team like that. So I'm a little bit confused as to what they actually are.
And that's where like Jordan Love's playing really well. He's number 2 in EPA per play, top 10 in pretty much every advanced metric here. And I think their special sauce has been the big plays. Like when they needed it last week, getting the ball downfield to Matthew Golden twice. The number of times that Love hits a downfield throw, hits those third and longs, that reminds me a little bit of the 23 season. What was special about Love down the stretch was 3rd and 10s and 3rd and 11s and scramble drill plays. He was still making plays when they should have been back against the wall. And I'm starting to, you're seeing that throughout the season from Jordan Love and this Packers offense. So I think they're well positioned here, and defense is in a good spot. Arizona, they were missing Kyler Murray last week. Got to keep an eye on Marvin Harrison Jr. with his concussion. And I think they made do with the backup receiver, like with Zay Jones and with Michael Wilson last week. But, man, they really need Marvin Harrison Jr. with their running back injuries and then losing wide receiver 1. Like, they were competitive last week with backups at all the key skill position players, including quarterback. But I think that would be tough to sustain here.
Is this another Jacoby Brissett game?
I'm not sure as of now.
Because it was interesting. They did adjust the offense a reasonable amount for Jacoby Brissett, a lot more under center stuff.
Yep.
It also worked, which is an interesting dynamic. Like Kyler's a weird quarterback, and it's not a great ringing endorsement of him that when they adjusted the offense for Jacoby Brissett, who with the greatest of respect to Jacoby is not one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League, that the offense kind of got better.
But he's also, again, we said it on Monday, right? In a 1-game setting, in a 3-game setting, he can be, right? I don't want Jacoby for 17, but he can do it in a 2 or 3-game setting. He was getting rid of the ball pretty well the other day, getting rid of it, making some big throws when he needed to. Again, I don't love his history. He's usually a high sack rate, low interception type of guy. On that spectrum of type of player, the Tannehill, the Russell Wilson at the high end, Tannehill at the medium end. That's where if he gets sacked 4 or 5 times, I think they're done if it's Brissett. But then the same thing with Kyler. Like if Kyler's in there, I think he's got to do his special stuff, right? He's got to do a couple scramble drill plays, pick up a 20 or 30-yard gain, scamper with his legs. They need some explosives against this Packers defense that's played pretty well in man coverage, better than they did last year, better than I had expected, playing more man coverage than they did last year. And I think that's been part of their success, pairing that with the pass rush that they have now because of Parsons.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Micah Parsons can definitely be a huge factor in this game, chasing down Jacoby Brissett, causing problems, getting hold of him, turning those extended plays into sacks. Jacoby Brissett's not the most escapable quarterback in the world, so that's definitely a recipe for that Packers defense to go in a good direction. Cardinals, I just don't know if they have enough on either side of the ball, really.
All right, man, let's make a pick. Packers by 6.5 here, Sunday, 4:25.
Green Bay, because of that. I think the Packers are just better on both sides.
I'm leaning Green Bay, but that's a lot of points.
It is.
Green Bay to win, Arizona to cover. Harry will take Green Bay to win and cover. All right, we got 2 more.
2 more.
The other Sunday 4:25 game, Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys, the 2-3-1 Cowboys. Washington favored by 1.5 here. Over-under's 54.5 because the Cowboys are playing. Neither secondary is good. Neither defense. I mean, the Cowboys defense just isn't good. But
it's atrocious.
Commanders, back end, they're having some issues still. Could be explosive here.
The Cowboys defense is awful. It's genuinely atrocious. And, maybe that will come back at some point, but at the moment it's an absolute wet paper bag. They can't stop anything. Even against the run, it's not great, and that's the better side. So you sort of feel like Washington across the board is going to feast on offense.
I haven't trusted Dallas's run defense in like a decade.
No, it could be a huge game for Bill Krosky-Merritt as a workhorse for Washington. Like he could go nuts against this kind of defense. Then you're going to have Jaden Daniels and everything he can do. I don't see how this goes any other way than Washington putting up a ton of points, and then it's a case of whether Dallas's offense can match.
We mentioned George Pickens on the Monday show, just looking like a wide receiver 1, and there's a possibility that CeeDee Lamb comes back. Now, more good players is usually better, but there's always the question of, spreading the ball around and everything. Like I don't think it'll be a massive issue, but man, it is the potential of this Dallas offense, outside of last week, they've run the ball well with Javonte Williams. I think Dak's playing at an extremely high level, maybe the highest of his career. George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. I'll say it again this week. If the defense can just be a little bit better, they're talking about scheme changes. Are they going to stop playing so much zone with a man-heavy type of group with Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland? Like, that's the type of style they should be playing. If they just get a little bit better defensively, Dallas can be more than feisty. Like, they could be a pretty good team. They've overcome the offensive line. Man, I said last week too, if you're being honest, I hate I'm doing this. If you're being honest about an MVP conversation, the most valuable player, Dak's got to be top 2 or 3 this year.
Yeah.
Because the more you do and the more your team lets you down, aren't you more inherently valuable? I brought this up about Joe Burrow last year. I mean, if you're just going to say, it's got to be the guy that wins, it's got to be the team that's got all the wins. It's like he led the team to 40 points against the Packers. We're going to look, if the Packers defense at the end of the year has these unbelievable defensive metrics, we're going to look back and say Dak put up 40 against them. He had a short field, had some stuff, but was really good against the Packers. Last week, kept leading the team back against the Panthers. And what was the Eagles game? Led the comeback and had multiple drops in a week 1 comeback. Dak is adding the value. His teammates are diminishing the value. That raises Dak's value if we're going to use the value play, right? He is doing his part. And look, 2023, he had MVP caliber numbers. I said he didn't play well in any good games. He beat up on all the worst defenses in the NFL. Stats are good. MVP case isn't there. Dak is doing this every week against Packers, Eagles, doesn't matter. Against the good teams, he's playing well. He's playing outstanding. He should be in the MVP conversation despite them being 2-3-1.
Yeah. There is no MVP conversation until like 3/4 of the way through the season. I refuse to entertain one until then.
For the people that are having, I'm not having the conversation, but for the people that are having the conversation, you got to, and I'm only using MVP to say, like, the guy's playing really well. That's the bottom line for that is throw for throw, making big plays, avoiding disastrous turnovers, making plays under pressure, elevating his team without their top receiver, elevating his team without 4/5 of the offensive line. Dak is doing all those things.
Yeah, Dak's playing great. I think one interesting thing for Dallas is, where did the run game go last week? Like, Javonte Williams have been playing really well so far this season. The Panthers just absolutely dominated this Dallas run game. They got nothing going. Javonte went nowhere. The offensive line got beat up. Was that a weird random game, or did that finally expose the fact that this offensive line isn't good, and somehow they've been having success anyway?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other piece. Because Dak has been playing so well under pressure and they still have all these offensive line injuries, at some point, does that run out? The same way I'm saying at some point the defense can't be the worst in history. Right. It's going to be a little bit better, right? So maybe those things converge and we landed at just a 500 team. Big game in the NFC East, obviously, though.
And Washington kind of got wrecked against the run last week, but they'd been better before that. Yeah. So they're both teams in the run game, when Dallas has the ball on offense, are coming off weirdly bad games relative to what they'd done previously.
I worry about the Washington secondary all the time. But second worst coverage grade per PFF. Didn't love them coming in, and they've had some issues there. They have games where the pass rush gets home and they create some havoc, and I love what they could do with a Frankie Louvu as a hybrid piece. I just don't know if they have enough to stop Dallas. I think we are looking at a shootout, which is what Vegas also says.
Yep.
A close game, a shootout, a 3-3 Commanders team, and a 2-3-1 Cowboys team. Remember, they're still Commanders a game behind the Eagles in the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to go with this one?
I'm going to go with Washington.
Man, I don't love this at all.
I have hatred in my heart for Dallas after burning me last week.
You're going to pick against them the rest of the year,
accidental survivor pick.
I'll take Washington as well. And I lost Harry's pick. He's picking one of these teams.
Sure. I mean, that would be smart.
10-year-old Harry. What is with the document? I can't even see. I'm taking Washington. I don't know what Harry's. I can't look it up. We got to finish the show.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football. Atlanta Falcons at the San Francisco 49ers. 8:20. San Francisco by 1.5 here. 4-2 Niners, 3-2 Falcons coming off of their big win Monday night against the Bills. Niners should get Brock Purdy back. And Juwan Jennings and George Kittle both expected to play, both trending to come back here for the Niners. This is the
reinforcements.
This is the week you've been talking about. Yes, they're missing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Huge.
Yeah.
But they were going to get a lot of these pieces back, and we might get 2 of them plus their starting quarterback here.
Yeah, quarterback controversy notwithstanding. This is what's going to really make it an interesting quarterback controversy. Look what that Atlanta defense just did to Josh Allen. Look what it did earlier in the season to the Minnesota Vikings. Like, that defense is nasty at the moment. They are sending all kinds of blitzes. They're sending stunts. They're doing all kinds of creative stuff, causing huge problems for opposing quarterbacks. Mac Jones has been tearing it up while Brock Purdy's been nursing his toe injury. If they put Purdy back into the lineup and he gets murdered by this Atlanta defense, it's just flying around causing chaos. Now we got something cooking. Now the narrative is going to be Mac Jones wouldn't have shat the bed like that
in primetime. Sunday night game.
Everyone's going to see it.
It's
going to be Mac Jones was like undefeated. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy's over here. First game back looks terrible.
It's funny because I think, 2 years ago, right around this time, it was Dallas against San Francisco in San Francisco. Sunday Night Football. We saw Dak's worst game of his season. Part of the reason why he didn't win MVP. He struggled in the big games. Brock Purdy threw like 4 touchdowns. I don't even think he was playing great at the time, but everybody's like, Brock Purdy's superstar. Dak sucks. And
3-1.
Whatever happens.
3-1, right? He lost last week to the Bucs. Mac Jones is
3-1, yeah. But, he's won 75% of his games this year, which is what Tom Brady did for his career. So he's basically...
It's a good baseline, yeah.
Right. That's why the controversy. Controversy, even.
He's also played well in that. I mean, I'm not saying, he had a couple of plays that went awry, but Mac Jones generally has looked a lot better.
I like what Ben Solak was saying. It's like Mac Jones just like hits the top of his drop and lets it rip.
Yeah.
And there is something
he is a perfect fit for that. Like that's the thing that really found a groove is Mac Jones and his anticipation, accurate throws over the middle synced. It meshed with that Shanahan hit the top of your drop. I'm going to have dialed you up a 15-yard dig route and it's open. Hit it. And he has. He's done really well at that. Like he's absolutely in a groove of that part of the offense.
And then we've always said, too, there's something about the Shanahan system. McVay does this, too, where they just say, like, they put the onus on them and say, just trust me. Here's the play. Read it out and just go. Just let it rip. And every now and again, like, the play caller gets it wrong, and there's a defender there. And you have some of those ugly interceptions. Jimmy G used to do that all the time, where it's almost on – it's not on Jimmy G, but it's like the play caller saying, trust me, let it go. If they call a better play than me, that's on me. Mac Jones, like we've seen some of that too, right? Just throws it to the defense. I think what Brock Purdy has done to elevate that offense is the outside of structure stuff. Purdy, like we're talking about Baker's scrambling and Mahomes scrambling and Jackson Dart. Purdy has that ability too, where he's got a feel for it. He knows how to just get 8 when they need 7. He brings some of the outside of structure element to it, as well as the anticipation. When Purdy has played this year, though, his middle of the field stuff has been bad. Now, maybe that's what I'm talking about. Maybe that's a Shanahan thing. Like, that's the play caller. But Purdy has had some rough decisions over the middle of the field.
He's looked bad this year. I mean, he hasn't played that much, but the time he has played, he's looked pretty awful. So, I don't think it's a quarterback controversy yet, but genuinely, if he goes out there, has a terrible game against Atlanta on prime time, it's not an insignificant thing. Like, I do think that starts to become a little bit of a pressure-filled situation because Mac Jones has shown that he can run this offense and look pretty good doing it. Purdy has not played well since getting paid, even if, those are different. Even if each one is a sort of different set of circumstances and, maybe there's justification there, it starts to build a picture.
I'll save this. I want to save it for the end of the show, but there's a breaking news that Dolphins-Browns could have 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts
I mean, we already said it was going to be.
But 50 to 60, that changes. Oh, it's going to be so great. 6-3, not 9-6 for that game. 6-3. No, they won't be able to kick a field goal either. That's a 0-0 into overtime game. No. It's that the Browns run the ball 48 times for 350 yards. That's what happens. That's what's going to happen in that game. Speaking of running the ball, Bijan Robinson on the other side, man, he looks so good.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw Bills fans talking about this. The very first play of the game the other day, they had Greg Rousseau offsides and Bijan fumbled and lost the ball. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, kind of half joking about this, but that changed the entire game. Like, it does make a huge impact. So Bijan did fumble. After the fumble, though, he looked awesome and unstoppable. He's on pace for something like 1,600 rushing yards and over 1,100 receiving yards out of the backfield. So Bijan's looking outstanding. The run game looking really good for Atlanta. I think they had this old school Shanahan. He's on the other side. Old school Shanahan, wide zone. By the time he's getting the handoff, like the whole line is just in sync, and they're 2 yards downfield, and they're displacing defensive linemen, and Bijan's finding that one lane and going. It's looking really smooth there.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
I got all excited watching old school wide zone running game. What Bijan's doing. I had a good Drake London stat.
I think it's Mohal in the chat keeps pointing out that Zach Robinson's undefeated on the sideline since they dragged his ass out of the booth, made him coach football like a real man. He's undefeated.
I don't know what's better, being on the sideline or being in the booth. But one thing I do know is if things aren't going well in the booth,
you change.
You go to the sideline.
Yeah.
If it's not going well on the sideline,
put him in the booth.
You go to the booth.
It is. I mean, it's interesting because theoretically you want eyes on both, right? It's two different things. I've heard coaches talk about, on the sideline you do get more of a feel for how things are going, like what everybody's thinking,
it's more
that
the
type of stuff.
personable aspect.
But you get a better view from the booth, right? Like, obviously, it's basically an all-22 viewpoint at all times. So ideally, you want to have some way of achieving both, and that's why you have the phones on the sideline so you can talk to the guy. But you can't. Like, fundamentally, those are two different people that need to exist in those things. And the question is, like, which one is more important for the play caller to be? Is it better for that guy to have the eye in the sky view, or is it better for that guy to have, like, his finger on the pulse of the sideline?
One thing generally I'd love to ask, and we can get him on the show again next year, hopefully. Where are your eyes on a play? Like, there's so many moving parts on a play. I like to watch football and see a play 3 times, right? Like, if I'm really trying to analyze the play, watch it, rewind, and watch the line one time, watch the receivers another time, watch the quarterback another time, whatever it might be, say on a pass play. When you're in real time in a game, how much can you actually take in? And when you're on the sideline, how much can you actually see what the defense is really doing? And see, what the front seven's doing, what the backs do, like what the back seven's doing, and how they're disguising coverages, what coverage they're getting into. One of my questions: what are you seeing differently on the sideline versus up in the booth? But it's true, undefeated since being down there. Mm-hmm. Drake London has 29 catches, 388 yards, 3.63 yards per route run against zone, and a 90% zone rate here.
And the 49ers just lost one of the guys that changes the geometry in zones in Fred Warner. Like, all of a sudden, the middle of the field is a much more open target.
Oh, for sure. He had I like that, geometry changing, like Luke Kuechly. Kuechly used to just be in places he shouldn't.
Right.
And Warner, you can call coverages that you shouldn't with a middle backer with that type of range.
Yeah. So it just changes the size of the square or circle when you draw it up on a chalkboard. Like, if that guy is in this area, this is a much wider area than you think it is.
Yeah, so it's a big game, fun one. Playoff implications here. Serious playoff implications, because I don't know if the Niners are going to be healthy enough to compete with the Rams and the Seahawks. Maybe.
Well, they're problem
all 4-2.
Yeah, the Niners' problem, I think, is that they've lost 2 of their most important players who are not coming back. Like, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, there's a bunch of these teams where they've been banged up, but they're going to get healthier. Detroit, and when they get healthier, we're going to talk about them as having the potential to be one of the best teams in the NFL. The 49ers, their ceiling has been lowered incrementally because they've lost 2 important players that are not coming back. And even with returns of Kittle and, Ayuk and Purdy and whoever, if they all come back and they're 100%, that's fine. The offense may still cook, but the defense is just at a lower level than it was when those 2 guys were theoretical participants.
So if you think that either team's not going to win the division, and this is a massive wild card spot here. Not that they can't. They're both very much in the division mix. It's early. I'm just saying.
Right.
Playoff implications here. Sunday Night Football. It's the Falcons. It's the 49ers. Niners are favored by 1.5.
Mm-hmm. I'm going with the Falcons. I think they win on the road, cause all kinds of chaos for Brock Purdy, and we create the quarterback controversy storyline. Not created. It's already out there.
It's
for
out
people.
there.
But people jump the gun. Now it becomes a thing.
I will also take the Falcons. Harry's going to take the Falcons. And can't even type it in the right spot. Harry's taken Dallas in the previous game just to put a bow on the show that is always going to be just about 3 hours. Good show. Fun. Again, I've had a fun week. I've enjoyed all of our shows. Maybe a little extra this week. Monday was good, and Wednesday a little extra something.
And we got all kinds of bonus shows this week. We got the Mina Kimes collaboration that'll be dropping at some point, and a little first episode of a book club that we did. Well, I did. You didn't. You didn't do that.
No, I don't have time to do your book club.
No,
but
that's
anyway,
cool.
First
First
episode
episode of that
stuff for everybody.
will be dropping as well. So.
And we have Justin Pugh coming by.
Yep.
To just talk ball. And we have a watch along tonight. So you're all going to join us tonight. Come back in a few hours. Join us tonight. It'll be for everybody at the beginning, first 15, 20, 30, whatever we do, and then we'll make it for members only because our members are just a little extra special. They signed up for the membership. They get a little extra Steve and Sam time. So that's it. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Do you want to throw to your propaganda piece?
Oh, this was supposed to be part of the Falcons thing.
Well, you can throw that down.
There's a documentary coming out by the Falcons, so here's a little 16-minute trailer on it.
16 minutes?
Second.
The art of the juke.
Oh, my goodness. 40, 45, LaShawn across the field.
So if you're a Falcons fan, just get ready.
Did I send you that tweet where somebody was like, man, it seems like they only use that
Yes.
camera angle for Bijan? And so it was like, well, yeah, it's the camera in his stadium.
It's in their dome.
Yeah. It doesn't exist for 31 other
Why didn't
teams.
they put out propaganda of Josh Allen scrambling around in the dome the other night?
You know, Tyler Algier, where's his propaganda piece?
I mean, they should have had him on that first touchdown last week. Anyway, go check that out as well if you're a Falcons fan. Get ready for it. All right, man. It's been a great show. A lot of fun. We'll be here again tonight, so be sure to subscribe and be around for all of our stuff when it drops.
Yep.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tonight with the watch along.